every year. So this is the video games, right? What's the backstory here? Well, I have worked with video games for most of my life. I obviously collect video games, right? I'm an actual gamer, right? I know way more about games than about the anime, right? And I worked in the industry for about 15 plus 16 years on that. I have worked on big companies like Blizzard, right, and Disney and so on. And I worked with both companies in the US, right? I worked with like Square Enix. I worked with different kind of game companies, and I worked on games like FF7. I worked on Remake, and I worked on Call of Duty and so on, right? And I also worked on many minor game companies and small indie studios and so on, right? So I'm an old man, so I have to complain about bad stuff and so on. To some extent, it's like it used to be in my days when we had great video games. So I say this thing, I have absolutely no idea what won, except one thing, because I got spoiled with this thing on Twitter though. That is that Guilty Gear won, and I love that. That I would say I wouldn't roast, right? That's a great game. I play a lot of Guilty Gear, right? I have my own arcade stick over here. Get my gaming shit up here. Come on. Oh, honey, got it. Ah, come on. This is also a well prepared stream. It's stuck in something. Oh, I see. Yeah, I remember. In the last stream, I accidentally kicked down my mouse. Now everything comes together to me here. Give me a second, sorry. In the last stream, I accidentally kicked down my mouse, and it stuck in my arcade stick's cable. That explains it. I was like, what's happening here? Yeah, in the last stream with Black Clover, I was gonna get my katana, of course, to asta it out. I accidentally kicked down the mouse, then it got stuck on the arcade stick. Best stream ever. There we go. Sorry, I was like, very confused. I was like, why can't I grab it? Yeah. So here, of course, I play a lot of Guilty Gear, right? So I'm happy to Guilty Gear 1. I am top rank Guilty Gear, right? I'm a Grandmaster rank 10 person. And I don't want to do too much of a call to authority fallacy, because I hate to see people do fallacies. That being said, I think it's fairer in games, though. There's one thing, it's kind of hard when it comes to like movies, books, or whatever. Say like a fallacy of authority is much grander in those, right? Like, I have seen 10 movies, like, it doesn't really mean much, right? But when it comes to video games, though, saying that, well, I'm a Grandmaster, ex-player, right? I'm the highest top-ranked player in this game, it actually means something, because you probably know the game, right? So, I really love Guilty Gear. It's the only thing I know in this here before. I really love it. I think it's one of the best games in a long time. It's a fighting game, and I played it for, a lot of hours, and here I feel that the speak authority makes sense, because I'm a very high ranked player, and I have played Street Fighter, etc., and on high rank as well, right? So I can actually compare them, where I think that most people can't. I mean, I don't want to be insulting here, but it's a roast stream. I feel that most people can't really compare some games, right? Like Street Fighter and so on, those fighting games. It's probably the hard genre to compare it. Fighting genre is very, very complicated. It's a very hardcore genre, and it's always kind of weird when you read like a review or something, and someone is like, oh, I played Street Fighter for 3 hours. You're like, yeah, okay, come back when you play it for like 3 years. So I started playing Guilty Gear back in 2006. I was in college. I had this senpai, and he was huge into anime and manga and so on, right? And he was he founded this like gaming fraternity on my college, and he brought me. He had Guilty Gear and they are Guilty Gear, right? And after he did the Guilty Gear, he brought me to this like Japanese kind of like culture club kind of thing in the city, and they played a lot of Guilty Gear. So that's how I got the Guilty Gear, and I've been playing Axel and Testament since then. So I played the same guy for all the years. I played the same character, the same person for all the years. So I have changed a few all the time. I mean, I play Axel, and then I play a little bit of like Bridget, Testament, Venom, and so on, right? But Axel has been my main literally for like 15 years. Kind of crazy thinking about it. I played the same character for 15 years, right? Anyway, I love to do this roast stuff, right? I'm gonna be objective as I can and say this, right? And there's one thing before I start here that I have to compare to, right? Is I truly love to be fan of the anime awards, but they're so crap, right? Why is it crap? Because it's so politicized, right? It's so focused on, well, does this anime have X number of jury characters? Well, then it's a good anime, yeah. The best example of that is Attack on Titan. I'm gonna spoil it here, but Attack on Titan, in I think the last year of Anime Awards, they had it for the best romantic couple, and they had 2 female characters that are not lesbians. One of them is not a lesbian, but they were like, this is the best love story, because even if one of them is straight, and the other one is maybe a lesbian, right? And furthermore, that actual, not spoiling them too much or whatever, that actual image they had was a filler episode, that's one thing, and the episode aired 3 years prior to that year. So it was like 2017 that couple had existed, if it was a couple, not 2020, right? Or 2019 then. So I was like, yeah, yeah, this is crazy. This is crazy. They clearly put that couple, isn't even a couple, because they are 2 girls, right? And it's crazy. They had Lily over Saki so on, right? So anime awards are cray. The game awards, though, are always the same thing too, right? They're less of extent. Anime awards are way crazier, but the exact same kind of issue of like, oh, Last of Us 2. Clearly a pretty bad game, but they had a female main character. It's clearly the best game ever, right? I'm not saying too much, but I think it's, I'm gonna say if the game is crap or not. So the other thing, of course, is that, as I know the industry very well, right? And that the money talks, right? Most winners are either because the company likes them, or they have some deals, whatever, or they get to produce a trailer and so on, right? So half the winner is because the money is the right thing to do, right? The other half is like, oh, they had, the correct political character or something. And one thing with me, I said before I started here, Last of Us 2, I hated it mostly on the bad gameplay. I mostly worked with game design, right? And the game to me was really boring. And they have barely evolved, I felt, the gameplay whatsoever. I didn't even like the first game that much from gameplay standpoint. Almost had better narration. Second game, ever hated the narration. I agree with that, but I also felt that the gameplay itself was just the same tedious gameplay we've seen before. I was like, yeah, okay, that's not really impressive in my opinion. But anyway, let's start going then. I'm throwing out the attacks. I'm throwing out attacks left and right before I even go down here. But I think it's very fair to say that most games are pretty crap these days. I'm like an old man. Okay, what goes? Okay. I think we just go with this. I think that's before. Let's start with fighting game then. And fighting games, there we go, best fighting. And here's the only one I know then, as I mentioned. Yeah, Guilty Gear, baby! Woo! But this is a fantastic game. So this is the only one I knew before, right? So the rest is blind reacting to this thing and blind roasting and whatever you call it. But this is actually a really good game. And I keep saying it, but I think it's arguably the best game this year, in my opinion. As I'm, of course, a fighting game fan. But still, though, this game is fantastic. It's I have played all the games, right, from Arc System Works, and I played the Capcom games and so on, and obviously with the fight I like to fight too. But it is a fantastic game. It's just the flow of it and so on. I streamed it last time I had the One Piece celebration stream, right, because I used to play a lot of fighting game. Actually, as I mentioned, that same guy, if you watch my One Piece 1000 live stream, the same guy that I talked about introduced me to Guilty Gear, he's the guy I used to watch One Piece with. So we used to watch One Piece like 20 episodes per week together, and then we watch One Piece and we played Guilty Gear basically. So that's my like, Weebo senpai guy. Yeah, so we used to watch One Piece and anime and so on, right, Akagi and so on, and we used to play fighting games, mostly Guilty Gear, and also Blast Blue. So yeah, Guilty Gear, a game for me, absolutely. That being said, though, it's not a hard category to win, right? So, Virtua Fighter, I actually love it to fight. I used to compete in Virtua Fighter. I used to actually compete in it and well, and I have been the best player in Sweden in Virtua Fighter, like literally. So I won some tournaments and so on in the fourth evolution. However, Virtua Fighter has basically not moved. And this is Virtua Fighter 5 here. This is like a remake of the earlier 5. What's called here, Virtua Fighter Ultimate Showdown. This is just like a minor remake, right, on the 5th game that was released in, I want to say 15, 16, like it's a 5-year-old game, right? So basically, the Guilty Gear could win here means, in a way, nothing though, because this game, while I love this game, and I have played it extensively, the 4th game mostly, but competitively, it's basically the same game, it hasn't moved in 5 years, right? Melted Blood is like a worse Guilty Gear. Nobody's just similar fight the game, whatever. And these games, I used to think are pretty bad, honestly. I'm not a big fan of these, what are they called? Cyber Connect 2, right? It's a company called. I've been there, yeah. I've been there. There is a Japanese fighting game company. I've been there in interviews and so on. And it was honestly a really bad interview. Or like a really, from my standpoint, like, meeting them, I think they did a really weird, the game industry is quite usually kind of commonly bad, right, for bad work placement. And yeah, they had a very weird interview system. So I will admit I'm biased here because I don't like the company, because I have experienced the company's employees, right, and I don't have a good experience with this company from an actual like worker standpoint, right. Very weird interviews, very weird place and so on. It's located in the west of Japan, whatever. But yeah, not a good experience with that. But this game itself, I don't know. I think all the end fighters, Naruto, don't do good. So anyway, Guilty Gear wins. It's a no-brainer. Although the game sucks basically. Virtua Fighter was a great game though, but it's the same game for like 5 years now. They haven't even changed it. Okay, so that's the only thing I knew. I kind of want to go, bottom up, right? I kind of want to start here, and we work us up to Game of the Year. And I'm gonna, yeah. So honestly, best esport event, I have no idea. Because I say this thing here, there's been obviously the Koof and so on. I haven't followed esport that much this year. Usually Evo is my favorite, right? Because I'm a fighting gamer, so I usually obviously vote for Evo, right? But I don't know, I don't care. It's been way too much on offline, put some Dota, Lul, or whatever. Yeah, honestly, I don't care. I don't care, and I haven't followed it at all. Or whatever, okay, yeah. So a league, yeah, I was like, it's gonna be League or Dota, right? Yeah, whatever league is the best one, but it's probably fine. I honestly don't care. I'm like, whatever. Who cares about the shit? Come on. It's what is it in this category? Best esport coach? I couldn't even tell you best esport team. I would literally not be able to tell you best esport team. I probably could be like, I remember I used to play a lot of course competitive soccer too, right? So I know about like Liquid and Fnatic and these names, right? But the coach? Come on, I have absolutely no idea. And who cares about this thing? Holy shit. It's just a weird category. It's like, we're gonna have that. Like, why do you need best categories? It's so weird to me. And like, compared it to like best director of the game or something, it's ridiculous. Best esport coach? It's not like I hate esport, even though I love esport games and so on, but it's just kind of a really weird category. Best esport coach? How do you even judge that? Would his team win a lot? And wouldn't it be limited to like a team coach? It probably wouldn't, but it's like, it would be arguably better if he had a lot of passion in his team, right? If they're coaching like a fighting game player, there's much more in the, because you can have coach fighting games too, but there's much less. It's more on one person, right? So I would feel that this person would be like a team coach for like a league team or like a Dota team, right? Something similar to that. Whatever, I'm just saying it's a stupid category. See, I'm roasting even the category. I'm just like, what is this? And I mean, I haven't, yeah, whatever. Like David Reckon or someone. I mean, yeah, I don't care, honestly. I mean, we start with the categories I care about. I mean, they're obviously in the bottom here. They have to have thought about that. It's always in the bottom, yeah, come on, like why are they in the bottom, right? And I hate, it's like a back button maybe? Why am I doing this thing when okay, I remember I can step like that, okay. Yeah, and CS Team 1. Valorant, of course, people play. I think it's the same thing every year too, right? Like, it's like LoL, Dota, CS. One thing I had to say I hate with this category, honestly, is that doesn't it feel kind of weird that it's like every team is from one different category? That is like one team is from COD, right? One from LoL, one from this thing. So what are you? It feels weird to me because it would be more fair if I was like, who's the best esport team of maybe like, this sport something, but of one game, right? Because now it feels kind of like, who's the best sport team, and I have to pick the best baseball team and the best football team, something. It feels kind of strange to me. It would be like who, because I'm assuming here these are mostly the most successful players, right, in your teams per game versus against each other. So it feels kind of weird because how are you judging that thing? It's like, oh, these guys won all the Valorant tournaments. This guy won all the Counter-Strike tournaments. Not all, but you know what I mean, like the most or whatever. Yeah, I don't know. It just feels like a really stupid category again. And this is better though, but still, holy shit, I don't care about this stuff, man. Okay, whatever. Best, I'm gonna care. I have to go on to the real, but I kind of want to go the other way though. I kind of want to actually go when I have to pick them, because now I get spoiled immediately. Yeah. Okay, I'm gonna do this way. Even I'm sorry if it takes more time doing this thing, but I'm gonna go this way because I didn't like how that was. Then it spoils for you. Yeah, it spoils immediately, right? I want to see the title. Best esport game. I didn't look at it. Okay, best esport game. I mean, I guess it's like, given how much they're talking about it, it's gonna be again LoL or something. Fortnite. Maybe something new. But it feels Apex Legend. It feels like the most biggest games are the one you kind of have already. Popularity kind of vote, right? I would think so. And here should set a category. If this thing here set category, it would be much better. Yeah, LOL. I mean, I guess LOL, right? It's like, yeah, of course it's gonna be LOL. Honestly, who cares? It's always the same thing, LOL, right? Every goddamn year. But okay, now we're done with all the boring categories. Okay, let's go to re-categories. Now we actually kind of get into good categories there. Okay, this is probably Zelda. This is gonna be Zelda, right? There's no, I mean, Zelda Breath of the Wild 2. I can't see it going anywhere else. It's gonna be Zelda. What other games could it be? Well, actually, okay, sorry. The one game, I guess, Elden Ring. Okay, so this Elden Ring or Zelda, yeah, those two games, come on. It's either From Software or it's Zelda. But I feel that Zelda has been, in a longer, people have been thinking of it for a longer time, right? But I guess because Elden Ring is coming very soon, like in February, I believe, and this game, obviously I played the game. I played Sekiro and so on, yeah. I played Sekiro without ever dying. It was kind of fun. Yeah, I streamed Sekiro without ever using Revive. Yeah, it was fun, yeah. So on. And I streamed, of course, Neo without using armor. Yeah, Neo naked. I played the whole game with only bikini. That was fun. But anyway, it's gonna be either Elden or Zelda. That would make sense, right? Yeah, Elden Ring. So that just makes sense. What? Zelda? Yeah, that is. Okay. Sequel to... yeah, I mean, like, come on. So I was right. Yeah, Elden Ring felt like it's gonna be Elden Ring, right? It felt pretty obvious. As soon as I thought about it, first I was like Zelda, but the thing is that why I don't really like Elden Ring winning. I mean, I like the game, obviously, whether winning is because isn't that game is coming soon anyway? That game is coming like in a month, right? It's like February. It's like coming early February, I believe. Maybe it's late February, but I think it's early February. I might be wrong, but it's like. It's coming soon, right? Like 2 months, or maybe almost 1 month, right? Because it's like half December now, and it's gonna be vacation and so on. So I don't know. I mean, obviously, again, I'm gonna play it. I already pre-order it. Don't get me wrong. I love their games. They're hardcore. I love it, right? I love Sekiro. Sekiro was my favorite game they made. I actually like a lot more. I mean, I like the Souls game, but I really love Sekiro. It had more skills. I like the system better and so on. I liked it didn't have different classes. I preferred that you actually had like this is your samurai guy. You have to learn different stuff and so on. And some people didn't like Sekiro as much, and I think it was because it was harder for them because you can't really grind. You can grind, not in the same way, right? So I think that's why some people disliked it honestly because it felt like too hardcore, too much timing. But I really love Sekiro. For me, that was probably the best game that year, easily, probably. And yeah, so obviously I want to play Elden Ring. So this makes sense, but I'm just saying that isn't this coming like basically now anyway? This is like coming, yeah, early next year. Otherwise, Zelda would be the obvious winner, right? This is also coming soon, right? I want to say one thing here, honestly. I'm gonna roast it here like that. Horizon. I know a lot of people actually work there. It's in Netherlands. I actually know a lot of people working at the game. One old friend of mine, so on. I played the whole game, got Platinum, Award and everything. Didn't even love it that much. I don't know why I got the Platinum Award. I don't know, but it's like a really good game, but also not really. I feel it's incredibly polished, but I feel it's just like, it's just that kind of whole genre. I think the genre has been done to death now. I don't know really where you can push that game so much to be that much better in the next game. It's gonna be the same thing again, right? Find all the statues, find this thing and so on. I have a hard time actually seeing it being that much better than the other game. For me, it looks incredibly similar to the previous game with more mechanics, right? It's probably a better game, but I'm just like, it's not a game I would even be close to having as my most anticipated game, right? It's like a very fine game, but it's not like but I never felt it was amazing. And I say that why I know a lot of people are working it, like screw them. but I think it has some issues that game. Well, I mean, it has no issues, but I don't think it does anything special either. You know, I don't think it does anything interesting. It's like a how to say it? It's a game where I feel it's really well done, but it doesn't do anything I really care about, I guess. It doesn't push any boundaries, I feel. And also, I feel the last boss was terrible. But that I actually doesn't care that much about. Best debut indie. Actually, I have no idea what this would be. Hello, friend. Yeah, I'm doing the roast of games today. Roasting or commenting on all the games here, yeah. I don't actually know, honestly. I do play indie games, right? I always have too much money in my life so I can buy these random games, but I'm just gonna give up. I don't know, honestly. I don't know what people would pick here. Okay, Ken, of course, I play that game. Valheim, of course, that's done by, yeah, it's Coffee Stain, so I know the owner. So it's also Swedish Raw Fury. Yeah, I know the owner here too. Yeah, I know both these people. I hate these guys. No, I'm just kidding. But no, honestly, these guys I know. It's in Skövde and it's in Stockholm in Raw Fury. So I know the guy that works as the. I know the owner. Talked to him earlier this year and so on. Last time, and I know the community manager and so on, right? Quite well on Raw Fury, and Coffee Stain is a famous place in Skövde there. So I know about the. Well, actually, I mean, it's done by these indie guys, but there's a publisher, Coffee Stain, which are one of my classmates and like a childhood friend that works as a programmer and so on. So I know a lot of people at Coffee Stain. Yeah, my old coworker, an artist woman, she works there now too. Her and her girlfriend, they're both artists there, I believe, and so on. So I know a lot of people at Coffee Stain generally, not maybe Iron Giant, but yeah, Skövde and Stockholm. But that being said, though, is it like the best game ever? I don't care. Kenna's a pretty good game too, though. Honestly, I'm more of a bigger gamer, I suppose. Okay, content creator of the year. So I guess they mean like. Best action game, yeah, we're coming to that soon, right? Best action game, that's a very general genre, I think. But content creator, that's obviously me then. But I don't do much. I do mostly anime and somewhat gaming, right? And mostly fighting games. But content creator, I guess they're meaning like Twitch streamers, right, or YouTubers. Mr. Beast. I would give it to him. Mr. Beast also Squid Game in real life and so on. It's a pretty cool content creator for games. I have no idea people are gonna vote for, but I guess it's gonna be Twitch streamers that people are gonna vote for, right? Most probably. Oh yeah, Dream. I do know who they are, though, so I mean, okay, yeah. But I felt it was hard to kind of judge from before I get in there or who's gonna win, right? Okay, best multiplayer. That's an interesting question. This is actually very hard because I would guess people are gonna vote for. Actually, this is a really bad category. I'm roasting categories here because best multiplayer, that is like every genre, right? Right? I mean, we have best MOBA, that's like Dota and Lulu, so on, right? Best fighting game, Guilty Gear, so on, right? But best multiplayer, that's like almost every game. You have single player games, you have multiplayer games, right? Best multiplayer is like all the fighting games are multiplayer. All these MOBA games like Dota, Lulu, and so on, Genshin Impact, it's like all these games are Call of Duty, FPS games, whatever, right? This genre, or this category is just immensely big, right? Like, almost every game I feel has a multiplayer. So, I don't know. I'm guessing people are gonna vote for like League or something, right? Because League won best esport game. But this feels like a Fortnite also. This feels like a really weird category. It can be any kind of game. In my personal opinion, from a new game standpoint, Guilty Gear, right? It's the best fighting game, and then in my conclusion, best multiplayer game. So I would go for Guilty Gear, but I have a hard time seeing them winning the popularity vote for like all the games. But you know what I mean? Okay, I didn't even understand the category. Yeah, okay. Oh, so it takes two. I didn't understand the category. Oh, I see what they mean now. But that title makes no sense to me then. Okay, but I mean, this is not multiplayer. This is like campaign, multiplayer campaign games. Yeah, multiplayer for me means like you play against someone, right? Like a fighting game or an FPS game, right? Like Call of Duty or Fortnite. That's multiplayer for me. Of course, Takes Two is a two-player game, it's also multiplayer, but I wouldn't. Yeah, but obviously they meant games that are like, team multiplayer. Then Back 4 Blood is like you play together against zombies, right? It's like the what's it called now again? Left 4 Dead spiritual. I mean, it's a great game. Don't get me wrong, but I'm just saying that that's a great game. Yeah, I'm just saying like it's also of course Fares. Yeah. These people are notorious in Sweden. Yeah, very. So I had a coworker. So you're gonna get a lot of game industry stories here. I had a coworker. She used to work at Hazelight before we hired her. So she was her first job was a Hazelight. As it was, but so it was Hazelight. And then after she quit Hazelight, she worked with us, right? For like 2 years with her, and she just complained constantly how much she got like sexual harassed, right, and how fathers touching her, and she's complained all the time about sexual harassment constantly. I heard about that every day from her, every lunch she was like, I usually touch my ass every day. We were like, yeah, you told us that. I'm not saying she was lying, I'm not saying it's true either, but honestly she was very annoying. She just kept telling us like, oh, it's so great here, no one is harassing me at this office. And we're like, yeah, that doesn't sound normal. And also, you said it every day. You don't have to tell us every day that you got harassed at Hazlight every day. That being said, though, I heard the same stories from many people. I'm not saying. I'm just saying that it's notoriously It's a notoriously studio in Sweden because they have games people like, right? But everyone I have met that had worked there hated the studio and hated the owner. Again, I haven't worked there. This is complete hearsay, right? I'm just saying that everyone I know that have worked at that place hated it, okay? Like really hated it. And they always thought about how horrible the owner is and so on. Again, I haven't ever met them, it's pure hearsay. I'm just saying what I've heard, right? Obviously it's very hearsay, but it's, yeah, they have like a notoriously bad rep in Sweden. Incredibly bad rep. But arguably the worst rep of all the Swedish game studios. I think, yeah, I would say so. Again, doesn't mean it's true or not. I mean, I haven't ever been there myself. I've never really been in an interview or whatever, yeah. So I've never been there. I don't know any of the owners or whatever, right? I've never actually like been in the place, but I've heard just a hundred horror stories, right? So I'm just saying hearsay, right? Hearsay, complete hearsay. Don't quote me on that. I'm just saying that everyone that I know that worked there hated it. However, that being said, though, this woman that worked there that complained about it, she was super annoying, though. Don't get me wrong, right? Because I understand even if it is true or not, she kept talking about it like all the time. I'm just like, you don't have to tell me every lunch break that you got, harassed at every lunch break at that company. That's like, you could stop talking about it. She was super annoying, honestly. At some limit, you're like, please, I understand. Okay, please, talk about something else, right? She was super annoying, honestly. But, okay, I completely misunderstood the category. But, they can rant about Hazelight instead. No, but honestly, I'm not saying it's true. I'm just saying that they have incredibly bad rep. Best sport racing game? Oh man, I don't know, man. I guess it'd be Forza, whatever title is, Forza. 5. Yeah. I mean, it's obviously gonna win, but I feel sport game is a category doesn't like. Yeah, it's like one game per year, right? Like, who cares about freaking Hot Wheels Unleashed? Come on, let's be honest here. They couldn't even fill out like 5 categories. I said sport game too. Why are they racing and sport game? Oh, whatever. But yeah, like FIFA is like, oh yeah, the same game 10 years in a row. I remember when FIFA games, I'm an old man, right? So when I grew up, FIFA, especially NOL, I used to play NOL with my friend. NOL 93 so I'm an old man, right? So when I played NOL 93, that was a really good game. And then we got like NOL 90, I don't know, 7 or whatever, right? It's like, whoa, it's like 3D and so on, yeah. Back in the days, right, the FIFA and NOL and so on, Maiden and so on, they were really different, at least a few years in between, right? But the latest, maybe like, I don't know, 10 years of FIFA is the same game, right? Let's be honest, it's the exact same game. It's just like booster packs in the same game, right? Like, who buys these games? Casual those. But I mean, yeah, I haven't bought a FIFA game since like 97 or something. I haven't bought a sport game since 97 or something like that. Come on. Obviously, Forza is only one thing to win. Holy shit, man. The category is just horrible. This is also kind of weird. Best sim game? I guess they mean simulation. Because Sims for me is like something else. But yeah, so best strategy. I do play a lot of strategy games. I'm gonna guess it's gonna be Humankind. I think Humankind will win. I think that's what it's called, right? Okay. Age of Empire 4, actually. I thought it was going to be Humankind. But, okay. So Age of Empire, I obviously grew up playing Age of Empire 2, right? And 1 and so on. It's a very, very classic game. I haven't really felt super in love with the 4th game. It's much better than the 3rd game. That was like completely shit. But the 4th game for me, it's like, let's go back to our roots. So they clearly understood that the 2nd game was better than the 3rd game. So that's great. They took the feedback right from a failed 3rd game and kind of waited 10 years and then did the 4th game. So it's a good game, and I think it's a fair game, right? But it feels like a little too old school for me. Even though I still play StarCraft 2, I feel this game is like a little bit like they're playing it too safe for me. They haven't really evolved it. It's just kind of de-evolved it back to. It feels to me like they took the 2nd game and just gave it new colors, right? That would be my opinion. I play a lot of RTS games, so trust me, I know my Age of Empires, and especially I know my StarCraft even more so. So I feel Humankind, in my opinion, is better. It does some unique stuff and so on, but also Humankind has some issues. I mean, the issue with Humankind is that, like, would I rather play it than Civilization? No, I wouldn't. I would rather play Civ right than Humankind. Humankind is like better the first 2-3 times you play it because it's like a new kind of Civ. But afterward, you realize that, oh, like, it's so random, it lacks the good talent, tech tree, and so on. Then you go back to playing Civ, right? So I'm not a big fan, honestly, of Humankind either, because it's kind of like, it's like a novella thinking, and you get tired of it. Then you go back to play Civ or EU or something, Uppe Charlestad, or something like that. And the other games, I didn't even know, like a flight simulator. Oh, yeah, that what I meant with simulation? Oh, man, really weird categories. Whatever. But yeah, I forgot about H1.4, because it's like 2 with the remake. Best family. I guess I said maybe that Nickelodeon Smash game. That's like a family game, right? Arguably, that might fit. So I can see that winning. Nickelodeon fighting game, whatever it's called. I don't remember what it's called now, but it actually is pretty nice. Like you have the turtles and so on. Yeah, like that's probably the best family game. Maybe a Nintendo game. What Nintendo released this year? I mean, last year was the big year for Nintendo, you know, with Animal Crossing and so on. I can't remember them releasing a huge family game this year. People played. I'm gonna go with that Nickelodeon fighting game. Okay, It Takes Two again. I feel so. I guess also Mario Party though. That would be kind of weird. Pokemon Snap. That was so bad. Ugh. Actually, I probably give it WarioWare, because that game is freaking fantastic. It is older games, but okay, so let me roast it. First of all, It Takes Two. I mean, I guess I really complain about the game studio itself here, but I guess that it's also a family game. I feel the categories are kind of weird, but I guess it's fair to say that it's both a family game and like a it's a little weird. Mario Party is obviously like crap. Like it's been bad in the last 10 years. Mario Party 1 wasn't even that good. You know, I had the first game and it ruined your controllers. It wasn't that good, and you never bought second game. It hasn't been good in like 20 years. Pokemon Snap is just crap. It's so disappointing. Pokemon Snap, the old Pokemon Snap was really good. 64, it was a fantastic game. You had to like evolve the path and find the stuff and so on. Pokemon, the new game, removes all the player input and the player intelligence, right? Because in the old game, you had to, like, if I throw a rock over there, I get a secret path over there, and this stuff, and then I evolved the track, and it was so cool how to actually find the Pokemon, how to invent the path. All that is removed in the new game. So this new game is a mass disappointment. And unfortunately, I feel Pokemon does it all the time, where they have had good ideas in the past, and for whatever reason, they just simplify it and make it more and more dumb every goddamn time. Right? Yeah. So this is a perfect example of a crappy game. So I mean, I can live It Takes Two winning over Pokemon Snap, because that game was a miserable failure. But I don't know. Then you have the Bowser's Fury. Well, yeah, it's a multiplayer game. That's true. It's like a 4-player multiplayer platform game. WarioWare, the older game is better. I guess an issue with this game, I suppose, is that I actually really love this game. I think it's a really good party game, and I think it's much better than Takes Two. But depends on how you judge it. But I would say, like, this game, how different is it from the first WarioWare game? Basically nothing, right? It's like the same game. So there's like no difference from this game than to the previous games. It's the exact same game, basically. It has a few new mini games, but it's in that sense, I think it's a kind of a lazy, very Nintendo lazy way. So kind of like, oh, just kind of add a few 10. It's like Pokemon. Oh, sorry, I mean Mario Party. Like, if you add a few new mini games, it's full price kind of thing they usually do, right? Okay, that's list of the first 2 paths. Now we are at best fighting. That's all with that. The only one I thought of it. Sorry, give me 1 second here. I have to go. I'm just gonna have to put my Guilty Gear extra lower. I'm just gonna like have to throw away some stuff on my computer. My computer was like running out of memory, so the stream doesn't crash here. I had to just move over some files to my hard drive. I set it on hard drive there, so I don't lose my the stream here because it's going out of memory. That's the issue doing streams, right? I mean, I always record of course when I stream, so it takes a lot of memory, right? Okay, yeah, 22 gigs, I guess, good. So sorry about that. I just wanna make sure I wouldn't crash the computer, right? Doing it. Okay, where was I? Best fighting game, Guilty Gear. That was the only one I knew before I started the streams. I did it earlier. I can do it if you're on the stream now. This is the only one I knew then, right? But yeah, I love Guilty Gear. I think it's the best game this year. A fantastic game. I have a huge issue with these games, with CyberConnect and these other games like kind of whatever. I love Virtua Fighter, but this is the same game like 5 years ago. Like they haven't evolved it whatsoever. Really lazy. Or did I move this thing? Or is it white line? Okay, sorry. Next thing, best role-playing game. So I'm a huge fan, right? I'm a huge fan of role-playing games. I'm a huge fan of like Japanese role-playing games. Massive fan of that. This year, the last year was fantastic. So I will say one thing here. First of all, last year was kind of funnily lucky in a sense because obviously we all were at home a lot, right? I worked from home and so on most of last year, like most did, right? And it was really lucky, I suppose, in this COOF issue that in the beginning of the COOF we got like Persona 5 Royal, right? FF7 Remake, Legends of Mana, right? Or Trials of Mana, yeah. We got like several really good JRPG games that I love. So while the COOF started, I was like, JRPG. I was sitting at home, it's like mashing through those, 100-hour games. Yeah, Persona 5, I played that game for like 200 hours. I was like, JRPG. This year, though, I don't think they have nearly as good JRPGs, right? Or role-playing games, generally speaking. The game that I've never played, I think I have it here. Wasn't Neo 2 actually released this? Was Neo 2 released this year or last year? So I have too many games. I'm like, maybe this game? But I do have this. Oh, okay, I actually have a couple of JRPGs here, right? So we have, of course, Nier. I think will be in this list here. We also have Scarlet Nexus. We have Tales of Arise from the same company, of course. Those maybe. Was Cyberpunk released this year last year? The game is crap, but I mean, it's a role-playing game, right? It wasn't Cyberpunk released at the beginning of this year. I don't remember now when Cyberpunk was released, but obviously it was so buggy that it was utter crap. But I guess it was released at the beginning of this year. I also don't remember exactly when it was out. But Cyberpunk was really utter crap. It was so disappointing, right? Because no matter how you look at it, you can change your genre or whatever, and it's awesome. The game was so buggy that you basically have to wait to this right now to buy it, and it barely works, right? And Sony had to recall it on PlayStation and so on. So I could see it being there in post, but Tales of Arise. What more role-playing games were released this year? Obviously, I'm preferring JRPGs, but like, oh man, I probably played like most of the role-playing games because I own almost every JRPG ever released. So, but I'm thinking what could be here. I think that the best worst one is Nier still though. Nier Replicant is Nier, right? It was crazy, it was weird. Yeah, it is Nier, yeah. When was Yakuza released? That was 2 years. Ichiban, that was released end of last year, right? That might be here then. Yeah, like when was that game released? When was Yakuza Like a Dragon released? Isn't that like late 2020? Wouldn't that be in this year perhaps? Because this is like the end of December, maybe. Not really sure here because that game is fantastic. I love that game. I love that freaking game, man. Have it not decided. That game is so goddamn good. If that game is here, can I reach it here? I'm thinking like, what was a little more this year? Got my pile of role-play games over here, like more of them. Oh, I got that. Way too much stuff on the floor. But I mean, mostly, like last year was the golden age of JRPGs. There was so many good games. But last year we had Persona 5, right, Royal. Fantastic game. Really recommend it. It's like, I have, of course, the Steelbook, right, the Steelbook from Atlas there. FF7, of course, by that remake. Here we have it, right. This game is amazing, too. Amazing game. I never reviewed it, but I love this game, Yakuza. So the older Yakuza games are beat them up, right? But this game, the Ichiban, right, the Enter the Dragon with the like a dragon, I mean, with the new one, right? Yeah, that is a JRPG, right? You have the turn-based. It's like Persona fighting kind of game and so on, right? You can control the characters and so on. Really good game. Fantastic game. It has all the Yakuza elements. Fun fighting system, fun classes and everything. Yeah, great game. Now I'm sure if that game will count here, but I think it was released in the end of last year, right? So I'm a little unsure. And then also, of course, I mentioned earlier, Also, of course, man, the remake, right? I love it a lot more than I said remake. Also last year, right? So last year we had like 6-7 JRPG games. That was all fantastic. But okay, let's go then. I don't know what I'm gonna pick, but probably some stupid Western game. Okay, Test of Arise. I said Test of Arise though. I mentioned Test of Arise. Yeah. Nexus 2, also from the same company. See, they even had Cyberpunk. That's crap, man. That's just crap. So, okay, I mentioned Test of Arise. I said it earlier, of course. That's one of those games that I did guess on, yeah. And obviously I also showed you, for example, right, Scott Nexus, yeah, like we have it here, right. So, like, I have way too many, yeah, I mean, I own like every JRPG, right. I have like, my pile of, there was magnets to my to the steelbook. Yeah, my pile of JRPG games are massive. I think I have, I don't know, I have like 200, 300 JRPG games, whatever. I don't know, I lost count. So, Test of Arise, that's one of the guests. Yeah, I mean, the Tales franchise, very famous. I first played it to SNES, right? I'm an old man, so I first played, I can't remember what it's called, but it was 96. I played on an emulator, obviously, because it was like only on Japanese, and I played it in the Japanese, but I played some kind of emulating kind of things in 1997. And it was interesting already back then because you were fighting in a 2D stand, right? So in the old Tales game, the gameplay was in 2D, but you moved around typically like a JRPG, right? So it felt very different because almost all the JRPG, right, it would be turn-based. Some of them were real-time, like Secret of Mana and so on, and Seiken Tetsu. But if they were real-time, they was still played like Zelda, right, from above, from the sky view, so to speak. But Tales games were played from that 2D, like, fighting standpoint, right? So it's very interesting, and you have that fighting input and so on. So of course I played the Tales game for many years. And Tales of Arise is, in my opinion, one thing I have to say, I really dislike the DLC thing they did with Tales of Arise. So you have a few stuff hidden behind DLC, which I hate. It's one thing you have costumes DLC, that's fine, right? But some of the DLC in Tales of Arise, so I hate the game in this sense, is because they hide talent trees behind costumes. That I think is a horrible practice. And the reason I really do dislike Tales of Arise though. Whatever, the game is fine, right? But I have to say that. This is a roast stream, right? But that honestly disappoints me a lot. That it's completely fine having these costumes, but having a costume and then you have to buy that with extra money to get it to right. But otherwise, the game is really good. I used to dislike that part. I mean, again, roast, right? But it's a good game. Tales of Arise, if you haven't played it, right? As I mentioned, the Tales game are more, real-time JRPG fighting, right? But of course, I'm happy seeing a JRPG window. Like I mentioned, I liked Skull Nexus 2, right? It's over in my pile, right? Yeah. And I guess Ichiban was released last year. And also Shin Megami Tensei, right? So, and so on. So yeah, I'm happy seeing a JRPG win because they're the best. I'm happy seeing that Cyberpunk didn't win. But honestly, I have to say that having this game here is like insulting. This game is utter crap. Cyberpunk was unplayable. Like, this is one of the worst games released this year. It's utter crap. Having that even next to these other games that are all playable, like, this is like a C out of 10 game in my opinion. And not because I hate Cyberpunk. No, I hate this politics, right? Or that I hate The Witcher or whatever. But Cyberpunk was like literally unplayable. The game didn't work. They released a game and had to apologize, for months, right? That the game wasn't like playable. Sony had to recall it and this stuff for PlayStation, right? And I mentioned it before we went into looking at the actual category. This game was like just miserable at launch, right? For the first like half year or something. And basically the stock, because I do a lot of stock trading and so like that, the stock for CD Projekt is like crashed, right? It completely lost them all their faith, and it was like a travesty and so on. So anyway, I don't know. This game for me is a disgrace having here because it's unplayable. You could argue at least, like, what's the best game? Scarlet Nexus or Tales of Arise, they're both from the same companies and people, right? You can argue basically who's the best, the best JRPG, right? But like Cyberpunk isn't even playable. Like, you can buy it and you can't even play it. That game is like is the value of like a rock, right? Honestly, for most people. Because some people loved it, right? But it was like a random luck if it works on your PC, right? I have to say that, like, the game shouldn't be here. More people could. I mean, I have to use a refund, right? The game was unplayable. And this is a fact. I haven't tried to play the game again since the beginning, so I'm waiting for like 10 more patches, right? Basically. But anyway, I am surprised I mentioned that Nier, where I put it, I have too many JRPG, I have way too many role-playing series. I am surprised that Nier wasn't the least, voted for, right? So obviously Nier, what's it called? Nier, my god, brain freeze. Automata, of course. Nier Automata is one of the best JRPGs ever made, right? Replicant is a way worse game, don't get me wrong, the game is way worse than Automata. But that being said, I still think this game is very interesting. It's very special, Replicant. It has the weird storyline and so on. I think it's much better than, for example, Cyberpunk. Like, at least compared to Cyberpunk, it's much better. Square Nexus, which I have over here, yeah. This game, I really like the combat system, and obviously it's very similar to Tales of Arise and one like that. I like the combat system and so on. One thing I did like with this game, and I do think Tales of Arise is a better game. Yeah, don't get me wrong, I think this definitely is better. I just have it in my hand, I have to argue for it. But I think the issue with Square Nexus is the graphics. Personally, I don't care too much about the graphics, but I felt the game was kind of ugly. Because most of the game is like a red-black square thing. You run around in the game, and half the game is like, oh, I'm stuck in this weird black and red thing, and it's like the colors are kind of miffy. I don't want to call it fugly. Yeah, it's just I found it a very here's an image from the back panel. Yeah, like, I don't know, I'm tired, but yeah, like a red thing. Half the game is that, right? The game is very fugly, I think. The game annoyed me a lot. The gameplay was fantastic from the actual action standpoint. And you swap your characters and you build them up and so on. It's good stuff with that. And I like the enemy design. It's very cool enemies. But and the anime is pretty fine, I think. Yeah, I watched anime too, right? But I do think it's kind of ugly. And it reminds me of another game, Astro Chain, that I have on the other side of the room. Astro Chain, Protoman, it has the same issue. You run around in that weird vox world, but it's a red and black vox world. So I think Tales of Arise is a better game, honestly, definitely. And this is Persona. I love those memes. People are like, "Isn't this just Persona?" Obviously, Shin Megami Tensei is in the same developers, same monsters though. But I mean, this is a good game too. But I have to say though that even though it's cliche, but I think it's fair to say I do like Persona more. But I loved Fire Emblem. Like Fire Emblem, right? Treehouse was my favorite game of all time, of my whole lifetime. So I love the whole dating stuff of Persona and so on. Yeah, running around dating and that stuff. I missed that place. Yeah, I want those dates, man. I want to go with my wife with dates. Come on. I want to do my teacher. I want to have my sensei date. Come on, I want that shit. Anyway, that's probably these two are probably my favorite two genres. So I think it was both good winners, right? Yeah, obviously Guilty Gear, as I mentioned earlier, is the best fighting game in a long time, in my opinion. This feels like they're idiots. They're kind of idiots. Why do they have a best action game and a best? Wait, what? Why do they have a best action and a best action / adventure? What is this crap? Wouldn't that be like adventure game and then the other category would be action? Because in theory, if you have a category, it's like just logic, right? It's like a Venn diagram. So if you have, let's say you have to have Call of Duty. That's an action game, right? Arguably, it's a shooter, but whatever. Call of Duty, okay. It's Call of Duty. It could be in both categories, right? So the game that wins this category should also win that category. That's probably how it should work from like a logical standpoint. Because an action game that can be in both categories should win them both. It doesn't make any sense. But anyway, this genre here, which I hate them because I have two of them, it's incredibly hard for me to guess, I feel. Because the title of action game, it can be anything, right? It's kind of like saying, this movie is a drama. You're like, oh, okay, it's a drama. Is it rom-com? Is it like comedy drama? You know what I mean? Saying action game is like saying it's a game, right? Saying adventure game though, for me is very different. Adventure game for me, that's like Zelda, right? I guess Genshin Impact, does that count for this year? I'm a little unsure now, yeah. And so on. Like that would be an adventure game, right? Zelda, get type of that. Or action game could be just anything, right? So very hard. I don't know if I'm gonna spend time guessing here because I feel this could be anything, right? And I do hate that they have basically two of the same categories. So let's just press the button then, because I have like a hard time Well, actually, it's not. I can guess, right? But I mean, this could be like 50 different games, right? I feel it's too broad, right? I feel it could be anything. I guess Ghost of Tsushima. I guess when that's released. Oh yeah, Metroid. Was it released last year? I'm so like, oh my god, I'm tired. Metroid Red. Yeah, that's an adventure game. Okay, good. Yeah, sure. More like Zelda, right? Yeah, absolutely. It's a great game. Yeah, okay, fine. That's a great winner. Resident Evil Village. They have it here actually. Yeah, I think I have Village in my. I have the steelbook. I way too many steelbooks. I have it in the bottom here for some reason. No, there we go. Resident Evil. I like the steelbook though. Pretty cool. It looks at this. It's just the embryo thing. Yeah. So if you play the game, you can recognize it. It's the. I want to spoil it, but it's the E. It's the little zombie girl, yeah, kind of thing, right? So it's a cool steelbook, honestly. I kind of like it. It's very, very. The other side is just blank, but yeah, the front side it's very, very simple, right? And you can see those wings. And if you play the game, it's like the wings are on its key, right? So you open up these 4 different doors, the 4 lords of the house thing, right? That they have in the village, and every ring represents this thing on it. I think it's a very good steelbook, honestly. One of the coolest steelbooks that I have, and I have a lot of steelbooks. A lot of steelbooks I love. I don't have it here, honestly, but I have it in the other room. It's Katarina, yeah, the pink steelbook. I like that though. It looks really cool, man. But anyway, I don't have it here. But that being said, the game had storyline issues, I felt. And one thing, a big issue with Resident Evil, even though I do like it a lot more than the game before, 7th game. That game wasn't as good at all. I did stream both of them on this channel, and 7th game was like, it's not a bad game, but it's not very good either, I feel. The 8th game I think is like 10 times better. The issue though I feel with the 8th game is that, how can I say it? The beginning, right, with the MILF vampires and speak, was Lady Dimitri, yeah, that's the good shit, right? And I feel that the game basically becomes worse every house. And the second house is like the dollhouse. I spoke too much here about the dollhouse. And basically, the first house is the best house. Second house is the second best house. And I think it's a big issue in this game. And one reason why I wouldn't call it this game better, I think, is because this game, it goes like this right there. It's like every house is worse than the house before. Kind of. So, but the first is much better. So it's kind of like you play the best part of the game first, and then it goes downhill, right? So I think that's a big issue of this game, that the quality of each dungeon is going down. It gives you like a bad taste to your mouth, right? Ratchet and Clank, I mean, it's a decent game. I played them, I think all of them since the beginning, but I feel they don't really invent much, right? Metroid is a very interesting game because people have waited for this for many years, right? So I love this genre called Metroidvania. So you have Castlevania, of course, you have Metroid, and you have similar to that, right? For example, you have Bloodstain, or whatever it's called, like it's Bloodstain, right? Yeah, from the same, in a and so on. And basically games where you run around, right, and you discover items, you can jump up and so on. So I always really love the genre. It's one of my favorite genres. I always love the genre. And a big thing with Metroid Dread, I feel, is that it went back to the roots, right? So they used to do this, what's called Metroid Prime, right? Yeah, Metroid Prime, which is this kind of, what would you call it, like adventure FPS or something? But anyway, it's in 3D, right? So that's what they've been doing for many years. Metroid Dread, I think, is a very beloved comeback, because they actually said, okay, screw the 3D stuff, let's make a classic Metroid game, right? 2D Metroid, the classic Metroid, right? And I think it's also used, the genre itself is like a timeless classic. It's a perfect Switch game, honestly. It's a really, really good game. Very unfortunately with old Kotaku being like, you can pirate the game for free the first day. It was so ridiculous. But it's a very good game. And I think these Marvel games from Sweden, I think they're crap. Horrible games, yeah. So bad, the first game. Let's call it Avengers. Oh, my God. I heard something so oh my god, yeah. Oh, whatever. Metroid's a really good game and a great comeback to the classic Metroid game. And I hope it sells well, because I want to see more of those games, right? And I think I played almost all of those, but most of the indie games, right? Kind of the people have done that category. I mean, it's a very popular indie game, right? To make, like this adventure game, right? But anyway, so it's really stupid again that it says action there. Why did you call it adventure then? Clearly, Metroid is an adventure game. But action game then, shouldn't Metroid be in both then, right? And also Resident Evil, isn't it an action game? It's a horror game. I mean, if anything, this is a horror game, right? This is a horror game, definitely. It's a good horror game. So it's kind of weird that you have categories like best esport athlete. I'm not saying that the people doesn't deserve to win, but I'm saying that I would rather have a best horror category. Doesn't exist, yeah. I think that is stupid, man. I think you should have best horror category instead of having this crap stuff like best, best Twitch streamer or whatever. I think you should focus more on games. Okay, best horror game, best fighting game, best strategy game. Yeah, I think it should be a best strategy horror game. But anyway, let's just see then. Would it be the same games here like Metroid? I mean, really? Okay, so first of all, it doesn't make any sense, because I would argue that Metroid, for example, then, is also an action game, so I think it should also be in its category, and it's much better than, for example, than Far Cry 6, that is another Far Cry with the exact same shit again. So Far Cry, I think, is just crap. I don't understand who buys Far Cry anymore. Far Cry is like, we've done the exact same gameplay since the third game, I believe, or maybe second game. They basically haven't done anything new in the last 10 years. I don't really remember. But, I mean, Far Cry is the same game all over the time. It's like FIFA, right? Yeah. They're like, oh, it sells. Make it in the second game. Freaking crap, man. Yeah. I haven't even played this game, honestly. Chivalry. I won't say anything. But, Back 4 Blood is a good game. If you ever played Left 4 Dead, right? Which is a pretty, I think, iconic survival team-up game, right? This is basically its spiritual successor, right? And yeah, it's a great game. However, I mean, it's not much different than Left 4 Dead. It's just Left 4 Dead again. It's just like more modern, like a remake, some new mechanics. But I mean, generally speaking, it's most of the same game, right? A great game though, but it's like not that much new. I don't know, Returnal, but actually, I feel that they're all like kind of like meh, and yeah, Far Cry 3, yeah, it's like, that's what I mean with Far Cry, right? Far Cry is like, it's like, how do I say it? Far Cry is a video game, it's brand name, but Far Cry is a video game where you kind of like, it starts out pretty fine, right? They kind of find the formula in the second game, okay, so now it's better. Then you have the third game where they're like, okay, it's the pinnacle, we have combined the stuff, we have come up with a great formula, people love it, right? And then they're like, everyone loved everything in the third game. What is the fourth game then? They're like, take the same thing again, right there. And then in the next game, they just made the same game again. And then it's like, why am I paying for this game? I'm paying for the same game I already have, right? And then in the fifth game, they're like, I guess we're also doing it again. And then in the sixth game, yeah, and this is the exact same thing with Ubisoft when they did Assassin, right? Assassin, the same thing there too. Yeah, they're like Assassin, and then do the next one again. They after a certain number of times, they just stop inventing new stuff there, and it basically just becomes FIFA or NHL or whatever. But let's go on. I find it very strange to have the double action game and so on. Okay, best VR, honestly, I have no idea. I'm just gonna like look at them. I guess we have the remake, I suppose. Yeah, I don't care about VR, but I guess it's like a remake of Resident Evil 4 that has VR support. The game probably also not VR, right? Okay, this sounds like it's just. This is what I meant earlier when I complained about, politics, right? This sounds like a completely asinine category. I was like, accessibility. Not to be that guy. Of course, people with handicaps should be able to play video games. But I'm just saying, like, what is this? Like, what is this category? Like, has someone invented the wheelchair or something? I'm just like, this is so politicized. This is like, okay, we're gonna have a category where someone invented a controller that is kind of useful if you only have one hand or something. I have no idea what we're gonna have here, but I find the category is just kind of weird, and it's just like, it's gonna be something stupid. I feel that probably it's easy to build or something. Okay, let's look at it, but I feel it's gonna be crap, right? That no one actually. But here I really want them to actually explain what they mean. This is one of those things that I, as a normal able person. Sure, I'm blind in one eye or whatever, but almost, but basically a normal able person, and I have all my pain and I'm back an old man. But mostly a normal, functional body. I have no idea what they did. Like, generally speaking, I have no idea what it means. Like, this is stupid, okay? Just from my category standpoint. It's just like, yeah, they did software that is good, but what did they do? Like, what did they do in Forza? Like, they have to explain anything. Like, can you play with one arm? Is it like colorblind or something? That's been the game forever. Like, what did they do? Like, god damn it. Like, I don't understand. How can they make it so bad? Like, I'm just... This is completely pointless for me looking at this. I mean, this doesn't tell us anything. What did Forza do to make it more accessible, right? And of course, usually when they say accessibility, they want it to be like Sekiro needs an easy mode because people suck at the game. Elden Ring should better have an easy mode. That's usually what they mean with accessibility, right? Because also they can't beat the game, right? So, what is Forza easy mode? Is easy to play, right? I don't know. I'm obviously being biased here because I have to Google this stuff. Yeah, I'm just gonna Google here. What can it be? Forza. Yeah, but why? Whatever. American sign language. Okay, so the game is like sign language. Okay, so the game is like sign language. It's like a Persian to sign language. Actually, it's pretty cool, but I mean, you should have said that when I was in there. I mean, yeah, it's pretty cool. They have like sign language text. But what's the point of that though? Can't they have this text instead? And instead of video game, can't they just read? I mean, I'm not being obtuse. I mean, like, because you're looking at the screen, right? So you can just read it, right? You can read the text instead. I don't really see what the point of how much better does it make the game for a person that can't hear, because they aren't blind. Why would they normalize sign language in games? It depends what games you're playing. For example, I started playing a new session of Europa Universalis last week. It's a strategy game. That basically is a big Excel sheet, right? So if you like strategy games, like grand strategy games, EU4 is a good game for that. But basically the game can be boiled down to like a map and an Excel sheet. Like it's a lot of math numbers, right? A lot of number crunching and like a map. And how would like sign language help for that? Like nothing. There's no sound in the game anyway. Yeah, it's like this seriously. When I played those games, that is Civil Zone, right? I'm listening to like some music on the side, right? Yeah, the actual game sound effect is completely irrelevant. So this is why I hate these kind of things, because now they're like every game should have a sign language, and I'm like, why? What purpose is that? There's so many video games where the audio has no effect. I'm not saying that for every video game. I'm just saying that for some genre, especially the strategy genre, it has like no purpose. And for like a fighting genre, example, as I said earlier, Guilty Gear, it has actually I love the music in Guilty Gear. But at the same time, if I turn off the sound in Guilty Gear, it doesn't really affect the gameplay whatsoever. Like it doesn't do anything for the gameplay. It's just like cool, background music, right? And so on. So this is what I hate with these kind of things, where they're just like, oh yeah, hopefully every game is gonna have a sign language now. That's gonna make every game better. It's like, no, it's gonna make some games better, and in some other games it's gonna be completely pointless. And that's why this whole blanket idea of like, no, every game should do this thing. It's like, it's horrible. It's gonna cost more money and make a worse game for like everyone. But sure, I'm not saying that this game Forza can't use sign language. I'm just saying that the whole idea of like everyone should have it now, it's like that's a horrible idea. It's really wasteful. Anyway, what did Far Cry do? It's closed caption text and colorblind mode. See, I guess colorblindness. Holy shit, but colorblindness is something that games have had for years. That is not a good thing to award for. That's nothing new. Colorblindness is something we've done for years. I've done it in many more games, yeah. And you always sign for that. That's like a thing for at least 10 years. That's nothing new. That's completely old school, right? I guess you can I guess you can just... That seems also kind of weird. Yeah, well, I don't even remember Breath of 2 we did, but it's probably like you can play as a woman. You can play as a trans character, I don't know, like... I shouldn't joke about that, but I feel it's kind of like, what did they do then? I don't really understand what like. Yeah, Sonic, but I love Sonic. It's a great movie, and you know, Jim Carrey's a great actor playing Eggman. But yeah, so like a woman stands there and does sign language. Honestly, not to be that guy, right? Not because I don't like deaf people. You know, my favorite anime movie, it's a silent voice, right? I have the Blu-ray DVD, yeah. So honestly, it used to be like I have a black friend. Used to be this guy. Let me be that guy. I have a black friend. I have a deaf female girlfriend. No, but you know, my favorite anime movie. I have it over here. I talk about all the time. So it's the best anime movie ever. The best anime movie ever is easily this movie, right? This is the best anime movie ever. Let's go into the real anime stuff here. No, it's anime, it's video games, but yeah. This is the best anime movie that did not work. What was I thinking? I'm trying to make something cooler. I'm trying to make it happen. Maybe I can do it like this. Put up some other stuff behind it. Come on, make it happen, baby. Okay, this is the best anime movie ever. It's an amazing anime movie. Let me show it in big screen now. So this movie is about a guy that bullies a deaf girl, right? And then he's apologizing and he's gonna kill himself and blah 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 and so on. It's like the best anime movie ever. So I even bought the Blu-ray, right? It's an amazing masterpiece, right? So I'm not saying here that oh no, I hate stuff with sign language. Oh, I can't handle that, right? This is kind of like I have a black friend defense. Yeah, I have a sign language anime, so I can complain about sign language there. I can complain about sign language in video games. But also the point is that I don't care. I don't have an issue with sign language, right? In oh yeah, change the. Oh, there we go. Change the stream. So I have no problem with, of course, sign language stuff in games or animes or whatever, right? That would be kind of silly. And I do know basic, I guess, sign language and so on, right? But my point, of course, is that, like, what's the point of it? Like, I'm genuinely wondering, what is the genuine point of it? Because she stands over here, right? And does sign language, obviously. Okay, that's fine, right? But you also have the text next to her. Text here or text there. I mean, okay, for a kid that can't read, but only can do sign language, it is slightly, I guess, better. So it's not like pointless as I think about it. But for like a grown person, like for most of the consumer, for like a card game, for like Forza, for most of like 99% of their consumer base, or probably even more than that, how many of them can't read? I'm honestly wondering, like, is it that much better to see a woman do sign language, or next to her is a text of what she is saying? Because it's kind of like, you know, think about it, you know, people that watch anime, right? I watch anime usually without subs. But if you have like an anime, so you're talking about, you know, silent voice, right? You know, my favorite anime, again, about silent language, right? It's kind of like expecting this anime movie to have a woman standing next to the text, right, and doing like sign language to explain to you, to dub it, right? I expect them to have like a woman doing like a dub, you know, sign language next to it, because what if deaf people wanna watch a sign language movie about love and romance and death and so on? Oh, we need a woman to like do the sign language, or they can just read the dubs, right? They can just read the text, right, or the subs. I mean, yeah, they can just read it, right? If they don't watch it in dub, if they're watching a dub, yeah, but if they watch it in subs, right, they can just like read the text. You don't need a woman doing the sign language for that. Doesn't make any sense. And of course, I read it the whole in Japanese, but but I mean, I personally watch most animes without text, right? But you know, my point, right? It's like, what's the point? The only thing I can see it being relevant is if you are a child, right? If you're like a 5-year-old kid and you know sign like Bodhi, of course, that yesterday, right? Best anime this season, right? Of course, that Tenshi, who has a the best. I can show you that, guys. Give me a second here. I can show you that, yeah, because we actually. I have it on screen, right? So give me a second, because it's an amazing anime, I've seen it, about a deaf kid, right? That goes right now. It's like the best anime this season, and I actually have it here on my. I just reviewed yesterday, so I can probably find some cool scene here and make it a good example. We're gonna do healing. Mama healing was the part yesterday. Let's see here, healing. Ah, come on, where's my goddamn awesome? I'm trying to find awesome on ranking here. Here it is, for example. Give me a second. because I just reviewed it yesterday, so I have a lot of images, right? For it, press the button there. So this anime goes right now, and it's called Osama Ranking, and I would say this is the best anime this season. It's an amazing anime. I truly can't recommend it. It's like a 10 out of 10 anime. It's an amazing anime. It's incredibly good, seriously, incredibly good. And this and Mushoku are the two best anime this season. It's an amazing anime about a deaf giant kid. He's like a giant but tiny, and he's deaf and mute, right? And it's a lot about sign language and so on. But of course, what I mean is like, what's the point of having that text, right? So for him, then being a kid, he can't read yet. So that's like the only way I would see that having sign language is really meaningful in a game. Because yeah, when he's a kid here, right? So he can't read that well. So he might has use for sign language. I'm trying to find some other image of his mother doing sign language. I should have it here, I guess, but I can also open up the episode because I just watched it and I know where it is, right? But okay, give me a second. I want to do it seriously. Okay, give me a second here. Did you do it yesterday? So I kind of have it fresh in my memory. Let's see. I remember where it was in the episode. It was like the beginning of the episode you had. Just got the episode up. So Healing, Mama Healing, which is an awesome mom. She's trying to learn sign language. It's a really good episode today. Fantastic episode, 10 episode. Yeah, so here's a scene from this anime, right? Yeah, yesterday. So here, for example, right, Healing is teaching her son here, right? He's like, oh, Dorsey here, I covered his face there, whatever. That Dorsey is like, he's not scary, right? He will guard us, and he can't, he's mute and he's deaf. She's like, telling him this, and while speaking, right? It's like he's protecting us, doing his sign language, right? And be like, he's gonna protect us, right? So I could see that's the only relevance I can see of this forty. Okay, for a small kid like Buji that can't read yet, it's like a like a young kid, right? I guess, I suppose that's the benefit of having like a whole sign language woman doing sign language for the whole game. But for everyone else, they just really got a text, right? But for everyone else, they can't read the text, and that's like 99+9% of the audience. So of deaf people, because deaf people are usually grown playing a card game. Most of them can read, right? And also the game isn't really playable for like a 3-year-old, right? So most people that can buy and play that game are probably also gonna be able to read. Because if you can't read the text because you're blind, you also can't see the sign language. So yeah, it's like an incredibly small minority of people that are like very, very young. They can't read yet, but they do understand sign language, I suppose, and they want to play this card game, and then it helps them with being, it's like the, to me it feels one of these like, haha, this is what I meant earlier. It's very politicalized, because it's basically someone, right, that is like, haha, we put in this like massive sign language converter thing. And the reason is, it barely helps anyone offer you, like it barely helps anyone that actually buys the game. It barely affects anyone that actually plays the game. Like it doesn't really, but certainly it's like 1 in a million people are gonna, 1 in a million people are gonna like this thing. So we have like one person out of a million, which is nice, but it doesn't really seem like that's a good idea. And this is why I don't understand with these kind of games. In an honest, I'm gonna be honest here, right? Because this is kind of weird. Because what they spent, because in like, having a woman doing this stuff, right, for like all the text in the game, I guess, or whatever they did, it's not really explained, but I suppose it's cutscenes. Having a woman doing that, that's quite expensive, right? Like that's gonna have a lot of medias doing that. Or you could maybe, I don't know, add another stage to the game, right? And that's kind of where I feel these kind of things, and I sound very mean here, right? But I'm a little bit like, what does the majority of the gamer actually wants? Do you want to have more gameplay? Or do you want to have that like 1 person in a million can have a signed deal? Because otherwise they get to read the text, right? So it feels like you're solving an issue that almost no one has for a lot of high cost, right? So no, I don't want to see every game. I honestly don't want to see that this should be like this is what I mean. They're like, hopefully everyone's gonna do this now. No, I don't want that. I don't want, like for example, Nintendo when they're gonna make the next Zelda game, Breath of the Wild 2, to be like, oh, we need to hire a sign language coach and spend like 100 million of yen on that instead of like making your dungeon. No, I want more dungeons, okay? Maybe it's selfish, but isn't selfish, because for 99.9999% of the people, they rather want that. That includes deaf people, because most of the gamers that play Zelda, right, they can read the text. Yeah, they can read the text. Even the deaf people can read, right? So I would bet my money on that. Even deaf people would rather have an extra dungeon in the next game versus having sign language, because they can still read the text, right? So that to me sounds like a horrible idea. But I don't know, yeah, that's a long roasting, but I really have to understand what they have done, right? I have to understand. This is exactly what I'm talking about. I sound like a really old, angry man, right? But it's like, why? Yeah, why are you spending millions of dollars having like sign language for all the cutscenes or whatever, but you also have text in the game? I never like, this is what I understand about this modern bullshit, because honestly, because I feel like as a kid growing up, and I know people that are deaf and so on, right? Etc. Or being a kid when, for example, you don't even know the language. Like I was a kid playing Japanese games and I could barely, understand what the text was saying. I could understand it orally better than reading it. And also being from Sweden, so we had all the games in English or some in French and German. You could barely, so on. You had to like kind of understand it, right? All this for me is like, it's so enabling, right? For me, it's so enabling. It's like, yeah, we need to solve an issue that basically no one has. We need to. Well, I'm like, why? Because in the same way, then I would argue for, but then you have to also make every game into Swedish, right? When I was a kid, we would have no games in Swedish. We would have them again in English, in German, or French, or some in Japanese, right? And you have to just learn Japanese to play these games. As a kid, I had to teach myself Japanese so I could play these games, right? I taught myself Japanese mostly not because of anime, but because of games. Because I was playing games like the Mana games as a kid, and they didn't have any translation, right? So I had to learn Japanese so I could play the game as a kid, right? So that's kind of how I started, right? And so for me, it's so enabling, because there's like, okay, but in the same argument then, if you're gonna make a Forza game, you have to make it in every language, right? You have to make it in Swedish and Norwegian and Danish, so the children that haven't learned English yet can play the game, right? You have to localize it for everything, and you do localize children's games. I work with, I worked with like Skylanders for children, and you do make those games in like Swedish one, because I was a translator in those games. So yeah, so I have worked with that straight up, right? Actually, absolutely, yeah. I also worked on Disney Infinity 3, right? That's also in like Swedish and Norwegian and so on. So of course you do that, but this game here, I would definitely argue for that more people are gonna be included in this game if Forza is in Swedish than paying for a sign language, right? Because there are probably more children that are Swedish, they can't read English, so they're gonna get more benefit of you having it Swedish class, and then also of course Norwegian and so on, Danish one. That's probably like more valuable for your money, probably. But it feels very weird. That's why it's like, I don't understand it. What's the point of that stuff? I mean, I understand it from like a general standpoint, but it feels very weird to me to do. And especially I hate when they wrote like, hopefully everyone's gonna do this thing, right? Okay, anyway, let's go on. I read a lot about that, but of course it is a pet piece I have, right? Because I'd rather have better games than than trying to invent something that no one asked for, right? Or it's like 1 in a million asked for. And it's not even a good way to do it. Anyway, best community support. This sounds, I have no idea, guys. This is like a very weird category. So what do they mean here? Games that like the customer feedback counts? What do they mean? Like people they listen to their audience? Like honestly, I have no. This is a really weird category, because the category itself kinda relies on having a game that also needs support on. So most like single player games, especially Japanese single player games, don't have that many bugs and so on. So you immediately you're gonna win, because yeah, if you're a Japanese developer, you probably can't win this because you have less bugs. You need to make a game like Cyberpunk. I'm sorry, but you need to make a game like Cyberpunk, right? So you have a lot of bugs, and then people can complain to you, then you can help them. Yeah, this category is really stupid. Like you need to create a category or issues, right, to help you. You need to have a game that has issues to even be in this category. It's like you shouldn't be in this category. Yeah, this category it requires you, to like make a game that has a lot of faults, right? So people can complain to you. Yeah. Most Japanese studios are way better at doing less buggy games, so they're never gonna win this. It's just a bad category. But anyway, I'm gonna guess it's gonna be League of Legends, Dota, maybe Genshin Impact. It's gonna be these like big esport games like Fortnite, right? The people can complain on, I didn't get my skin or whatever. I paid $10. Where's my Spider-Man skin, right? It's gonna be those games. That has a lot of complaints. Yeah. Or else, how's going to win it in it? I see it. Like Final Fantasy. I mean, it's actually a Japanese game, think about it, but still, it's like one of those, it has to be a multiplayer, Epic Legends. I said Fortnite, yeah, it has to be one of these, multiplayer games with skins and so on. Or else you can't even be in the category. But actually, damn it, I forgot about FF14. I was like, the Japanese, they're never gonna be in this category. But when I think about it, of course, if you are in the category, you're gonna win. God damn it! Of course you're gonna win that. This was what I was saying, right? The Japanese, they're so much better at making, generally speaking, the Japanese game companies, they're so much better at making less buggy games, and that's like consistently performing game. They're so much better at that than the American and the European developers, like a million times more. Right? They really are, because they care more about Japan. Japan is more like, this is how you make something work, right? Yeah, they're much more like, they have better work, in QA and so on. They really do. This is just a fact, right? It's a lot of underlying reasons why, but they're definitely a lot better at it. So they have less of a bug and so on, right? So, but I forgot about this game. Of course, this game actually can win because it is again then a multiplayer game with a lot of skins and this and that stuff, right? And yeah, but it's like the only really big, I would say, multiplayer Japanese game right outside of Japan. Of course, in Japan you have a lot of different multiplayer games, but outside of Japan, FF14 definitely is the biggest one, right? Currently, I would say that from multiplayer online with skins and so on standpoint, right? So they win, yeah, I guess. But otherwise, it would be something like Fortnite, yeah. But it had to be one of these multiplayer MMORPGs or whatever, right, to be in the category to begin with. It's a very weird category. And best mobile game? I don't know, Hearthstone? I don't know. It's like, do you care about that shit? I don't know, man. I don't even want to think about it. Some kind of indie game. Oh, okay, well, I mean, does that count? I mean, I guess. Yeah, okay, fine. That is really good. I thought Genshin Impact was gonna appear earlier, but these things shouldn't even count. I'm like, is it a mobile game? I mean, I guess it's more the mobile. Okay, fine. It's Chinese. They always work on everything. Yeah. Genshin Impact is a really good game, and I guess it does actually work on some mobile devices. But like my old phone here, like this phone here, there's no way it could play Genshin Impact, right? It will burn. It will explode. Here's my work phone. Maybe it could play Genshin Impact. It's like the latest iPhone. Yeah, maybe it could play, Genshin Impact, right? But it's my work phone though. But yeah, who knows, right? But this phone, I've never played it. But sure, I live with that. And then we have, Mistwalker, the Final Fantasy. It's Hironobu Sakiguchi's new studio, or new, but Mistwalker is for Hironobu Studio. Is the guy that made what's called Odyssey and Blue Dragon and so on. Yeah, the first game Odyssey, right? So he's the former Square Enix guy that made Final Fantasy and so on, right? And then he made his own studio, and this is his mobile game. Which also is a good game for being mobile, certainly. But yeah, Genshin Impact is actually by far the best mobile game in that sense. But you need to have a very powerful mobile, though. It's kind of like having a Switch game here in mobile. It feels a little to me like, well, I guess, but would you also count Switch games then? Because you need to have like a very powerful, like seriously, this game will explode when you play it on this game. So it's a little bit like, yeah, but I also need to have like rich Chinese parents right to buy the game and would make it play. But sure, certainly, if it's counted here, I guess it is. It's much better because like Lul has a Wild Rift. It's like a a down-watered version of Lul, right? Yeah, it's a much worse version than the actual Lul game. And I haven't even played. Pokemon Unite is the MOBA Pokemon game. It's pretty crappy. Yeah, it's not that good. Like it looks pretty funny, but it's not that good. Yeah, it's like a bad MOBA game. I'll buy that. Genshin Impact is a really good game. I'll buy that. It's a much better game than other ones. Best indie. Well, didn't they already have that? See, I hate this. I hate the Game Awards. Like, what is that? Isn't it the same shit? Isn't it the same thing, man? Isn't it the same thing? You have like, I understand technically it's not the same thing because this is best new indie game, I guess, right? But it isn't really, because wasn't that Take-Two? Okay, fine, there was a multiplayer. Okay, fine. So this has to be like new company. But it's kind of bullshit, because Coffee Stain is an old indie company. Raw Fury is not very old, but I mean, they're kind of like, these are not new publishers. So that's bullshit then. Yeah, it's not really like they are new. No, it's not really the same. I think that's kind of a weird way to frame it. Okay, yeah, I don't like that. But anyway, so this is like indie game, but an indie game from an established developer, even though they also had established publishers, so it's not really the same thing. Given how it is, I would guess that Take-Two will win, right? Because they already won Best Multiplayer. There should be something like Best, I don't know, Simultaneous Play or something. It should be a better name for this thing, but whatever. That would make sense, right? It would be the same game again then. That would make sense. But how can it be in both? This is it can't. It's also not an established indie. But wouldn't this beat? Well, Take-Two isn't even here, even though they won the other ones. I hate this shit. It doesn't make any sense. How can Take-Two be the best multiplayer game, but it's not even in the category of best indie? Isn't that an indie game, or is it not an indie game? Like, but it was like, how does it make no sense? But anyway. Kena is actually a good game. Kena is actually a pretty good game, though. So, but I mean, it's a pretty good game. It's the other one too. I just don't understand the rules here. The rules doesn't make any sense. Okay, this is an interesting. Honestly, this is a very interesting category. Best ongoing, because certainly a lot of these games that are involved into the how I say it, like the e-sport and so on, right? The mobile games is of course. LoL and Dota and so on. So I guess it's gonna be like League of Legends, Dota, Apex Legends, Genshin Impact, FF14 would probably be a very good candidate then, because it won the best support. They had this new expansion, right, last Friday? Yeah, so FF14 I would say will be the best ongoing, having a very successful expansion and so on, right? But it's gonna be one of these multiplayer games, right? What else would it be really in categories? Yeah, F14. So, I mean, I guessed that correctly, but that felt very fair. I guessed that correctly, and I'm gonna roast that. That's a very good master multiplayer game. And they used, as I said, they had a very good expansion right last week. So, as you said there. So, yeah, that makes perfect sense to me. I mean, I guessed correctly. So, obviously, I'm right because I guessed correctly. No, but this to me felt like the obvious guess, right? Given how I walked down here. And I think a big difference is that some of the other games like Fortnite, they haven't had like an expansion. Fortnite is more like it's ongoing, right? They have like more different maps and so on, different skins, right? But F14 is ongoing, and then they have this thing coming here, and it's like a really good expansion. Everyone loves it. It's like incredibly, well received expansion, right? So not only is it ongoing continuously with patches and so on, like Fortnite, but it also had like a huge change, right, with expansions, and it's a very beloved expansion immediately. So yeah, I think FF14 is like it's probably arguably the best MMORPG ever, right? Yeah, it's a really good MMORPG, and the expansions are really popular. So yeah, I think this made perfect sense. I mean, I guess before I saw it, right? Yeah, it just made sense. I think from every aspect, honestly, and Apex Legends. I mean, I can kind of guess the Genshin Impact. Yeah, I didn't say Call of Duty, but I mean, the other nominations of that, I guess, that was gonna be in Fortnite, Genshin Impact, Apex Legends. Yeah. I guess there's no Dota or LoL. I guess that's the one I'm missing here. But yeah, it's kind of what I expected, right, in this category, generally. But certainly, I think this is by far the best one of them. So this is definitely well deserved. I sound very biased. I'm like Japanese games, they're the best. I sound very biased. I really built it up earlier. But honestly though, I think from any measurement, it's an ongoing game with really good expansion. I think it's fair to say that it is the best ongoing game. From like any objective standpoint I can try to have it. Anyway, games for impact. This is yet again where I'm like, I don't understand the category, guys. Honestly, I don't understand what I'm dealing with here, right? This is why I hate this shit so much in a way, because it's a flimsy way to say it. Best game for handicapped people, woo, yeah. I'm like, what does it even mean, right? Yeah. I have no idea. It would be kind of funny if it was Genshin Impact, because it's called Impact, which is kind of funny. Or it could be Mystical Goemon, the 64 game, because the song goes like Impacto, Impacto. So that could be fun too. Yes, like an old Mystical Star Ninja Goemon. Yeah, the song goes like Impacto. So I mean, it'd be kind of fun. But I don't know, honestly. The way they look at it, I guess Forza would win then. Wouldn't they be like sign language game or something? That would be one way to look at it. Another way to look at it, I suppose, would be an indie game like, for example, Valheim that sells like really good and it kind of console nowhere. That would be an impact game. Another way to look at an impact game would be something like an MMORPG that makes everyone be at home, right? Like F14, I guess. So I don't know. This feels like a category where I'm just like, but you could have so many different ways to like define for me impact, right? And they're probably not gonna define very well. So they're probably gonna have this feels, is it like an accessible game? Is it a game with like a new genre, right? Is it impact because they have that thing? Is it impact with technology? Is it they have an amazing new technology? I honestly have no idea how they're gonna judge this thing, right? So it's not a category I kind of hate because they have a very vague way to use it. I guess. See, boyfriend dungeon. What the crap is this category? This game is crap, man. Like, this is crappy light novel shit. Kinda like, yeah. This is like impact. This is like the, exactly, social messaging. I freaking knew it. This is the worst category. This is even worse than the death thing. What is this category? This is like the most social progressive category. This is not impact. This should have been like the most progressive category, right? And again, I have no problem, with. I always hate, I have to always like defend myself. Yeah, no, I have no problem with, of course, gay characters or trans characters, whatever, right? But this seems to be, isn't this category like the most progressive, woke category? Isn't this the category of woke games, right? That what is seemingly like boyfriend dungeon. Come on, Life is Strange. It's like a lesbian character or someone, right? Or trans, yeah, like the previous game as well had like a lesbian character. Isn't that? But this is about like this is the category of, it says there I feel like a social provoking game, yeah. So it's the most progressive game, right? And yeah, I'm not saying that being progressive or being I guess in generally say a left wing person, right? I'm not saying that's wrong or right. I'm just saying that this is one. I just hate this bullshit when they are calling it like the most impactful game. It should be called the most social progressive game or something, right? It should be. It's kind of like they're trying to hide what it's about, right? It's kind of two-faced genres behavior that I have so little respect for, because it's like you clearly are pushing for social justice games here, which you can do. That's fine, right? But call it that then. You stand for what you're doing. Don't call it like impact games. And like, what does that mean, right? As I mentioned earlier, impact for me could mean like a new indie game that was just a massive change to the franchise, right, for gaming. Right? It could be a massive new multiplayer game that really changed this dynamic of how to make like a multiplayer whatever genre game, and that could really impact. Like I said, Fall Guys was a massive impact game that arrived for the first month, right? That was massive for multiplayer. Everyone started streaming and so on. Yeah, that is a much bigger impact on society than Life is Strange. Like you straight up, right, from an impact standpoint. So that's what I mean. The category's name doesn't make any sense, and it doesn't tell me what's gonna be about it. Then I enter here, as I guessed earlier, that it might be about social justice, and that's what it was, right? And that's fine, but then be basically be honest, right? Be open with what it actually is about. Don't pretend there's something else, right? And that I feel, and that I have no problem saying that I feel is very common on people in this like progressive video game kind of left side, that they are very progressive, which is fine, but they're usually kind of cowardly about it, right? They're progressive and they're like they won't admit that they are, yeah. Even so, that I have no respect for. Yeah, if you want to be left or right, that's fine, but you have to stand by your principle, right? And I feel they don't do that. They want to have the principle, but they don't want to actually defend the principle if someone actually challenges them, right, to a debate or whatever. Which I have again no respect for, right? So because for me it's kind of pathetic. But anyway, Life is Strange. I was very disappointed, not just on this game, but the previous game too. So I was a big fan of Life is Strange. The reason is because I have played a lot of these light novels, right, or like visual novels, right, Japanese game mostly. like BioBlack and so on. No, but I played Black. But I played many of these, Fate and so on, right? And Danganronpa and so on. Yeah, Steins Gate and so on. So I played a lot of these, like pick your adventure kind of games. We call it storyline-driven games. And I also, actually yesterday finished a playthrough of Human, what's it called? Human Detroit Become Human, right? Yeah. Where I I had to replay it once because I was like, no, I won't let Alice die, stupid girl, and I had to replay that bit. But otherwise, I was fine. Yeah, Kara's right. Yeah, I was spoiled, but yeah, goddamn Alice. Luther died. Oh, God damn it. But anyway, come on, the game is 3 years old now. That game has a lot of different what's called paths, right? So you play this game and depending on how you play the game, a character can die, right? You can die immediately with like Kara. If you don't go up and save Alice in the beginning of the game, not a big spoiler, the first part of Kara. If you don't go up the stairs, you just lose the game, right? Because then Alice and Kara dies, right? At the end of the game. It's immediately, right? And if you go up there to help Alice in the beginning of the game, for example, Kara, you can then help her in different ways. You can kill, this again, this is the first chapter, so I won't say the big spoilers. You can either like use help Alice, or you can kill her father and so on, right? You can do something else. You can die too, yeah. You can also lose the fight against him, and you can die, right? So there's like 3 different paths if you go up the stairs. If you stand down the stairs, you just lose the game. So it's a 4 pattern. Meaning the game has 4 different paths, used for Kara in her first real chapter, right? And when you play Marcus, which is my favorite character, I looked at the rating yesterday, and I was like, I don't understand why people don't like Marcus. I think Marcus was the best character, because you have to play the game and pick between. When you play him, you have 2 very binary decisions. Right? Are you gonna be a revolutionist or be like a pacifist? I, of course, play the game as a pacifist with him. But anyway, I found, I guess replaying him in one way is not the best because again it's very binary. You're either kind of the good guy or the bad guy with him. Connor has the most interesting, I suppose, like evil or good, I suppose. But from like just a general standpoint, I think Mark is the best character. But anyway, I digress. My point is that those games have a lot of options, right? You can different paths, you can die and so all this stuff, right? And the typical Japanese games like BioBlack, you can die and so on. You can die and you can get ore or whatever. Yeah, you can die. But Life is Strange, I find those games crap. Okay, I hate these games because they're crap. Why are they crap for you, ask me, Monda? They're crap because you don't have any options, right, in these games. These games are freaking boring, directional, linear games. They pretend to be like, oh, but you can like take the photograph of your girlfriend and then this thing will trigger, or you can do that thing and that thing will trigger, and oh my god, this game is so amazing, you have so many different paths and endings and so on. That's complete bullshit. The first Life is Strange part has the exact same storyline no matter what you do. The exact same storyline. The only difference is that, oh, if you warn her about that thing, or hits her in the head, but otherwise she gets no paint in her head, right? Yeah. So certainly it's like, oh, if you move this ball to the left or the right, one girl will trip on it and she will like break her leg or whatever, right? But it actually won't impact the storyline. It actually won't matter for the storyline. It's like another scene in that storyline, but it's the exact same ending, right? So I really hate this game because for me, they're so disappointing. Because everyone told me, dude, you're gonna love this game, you're gonna love it, everyone, you're gonna love it. So I bought, like the first game, right? I played it through and I was like, I hate this shit, right? Because I expect it to be like, like Human Detroit, you can pick the paths and this shit. I mean, again, I played like 100 of these Japanese novel games, right? And they, not always, but most of them, you have different paths. You go their way, then you die. You go that way, you get the girlfriend, whatever, you get the wife, whatever, yeah. And we're like then Detroit, we have many different picks, right? You can die there, he can die, they can die. And for example, if you kill Kara's older Todd in the beginning, not spoiling him, but whatever. If you kill Todd when you save Alice in the first chapter, he's dead, of course, because you kill him. If you don't kill him, you can escape him, right? Then you go to the last chapter of the game, at the bus stop. He actually is gonna appear there. You have to like argue with him and save him for hitting him, something like that. That's gonna like change how you're gonna get later interactions and how people are gonna see you and so on, right? This game has nothing of that crap. Life is horrible. These games are so goddamn lazy. They're freaking crap. Honestly, I hate these games. They're so crappy. They're so linear. But people pretend they're masterpieces. I guess, but this is what I mean. Why did it win? Because they had like a trans character? I don't know, right? This is kind of how I feel. It's like, oh yeah, but because gameplay-wise is crap, okay? But it only wins because it's like you have lesbian characters, whatever. Yeah, it's a crap game. It's crap. There's so many better games in this genre and in this game. It's so bad. Ugh, it is really crappy. And then you have some other aggressive female games, whatever. Yeah, no, this crap category. Crap in so many ways. Anyway, best performance is like, I guess, actor. It would be something like Regis when he played. Yeah, I guess it's like person acting in a game. I think it's a crap category. Honestly, not really as crap. No, but I don't like this. For example, you talked about Detroit, right? I like the Detroit. You don't have like famous actors. I don't want to have a famous actor in my game. I want to have a video game, right? I don't want to have a famous actor playing a video character. It doesn't hurt, but it doesn't really help either. For me, it has no value. I will say that the guy that played Marcus, sample, was named Jesse Averin, I think. I have seen Grey's Anatomy, so I do recognize the Grey's Anatomy. But, for example, I don't know who plays Conan, right? It has no value to me, and I guess that's what they mean here, right? Like actors that play characters in the games. Yeah. Wait, she played the waifu? Is she like a 4 or 5 tall woman with like huge oppies? Yeah, this woman, she looks nothing like Lady Demetrius. Lady Demetrius is like a gigantic woman with huge ass and big titties. She looks nothing like her. I'm disappointed now. This disappointed my MILF raider. Yeah, she's so MILF in that game. This woman looks like a normal, nice lady. Yeah, she just... See, this is what I mean. This feels just weird because they probably have like a mock-up suit or whatever, right? That loop... Far no one cares, goddammit. Yeah, I don't know what she's gonna get in there because he's a lesbian, whatever. Right? But yeah, I mean, fine, I guess. I mean, Lady Demetrius, she is the highlight of that game. But that's what I mentioned earlier, though. Where did I put the game? There it is. As I mentioned earlier, though, with this game, right? This game, I wanna love it, but I don't because Lady Demetrius is amazing. The milfy vampire and her daughters in the beginning. That's the best part of the game. The problem with this game is that, yeah, this woman makes a really good Lady Demetrius. So her winning, I guess, obviously it's fine because that's the best part of the game, right? But then the game is just downhill from that. Yeah, like the game is good, but it definitely starts out amazing and then it just goes worse and worse. Every dungeon is worse than the last dungeon. So that's the problem with that game, though. I mean, it's fair to say that she's the best actor because, yeah, she is the heart of the game. Very fair. But that also highlights the part of the actual gameplay, right? Because the game itself becomes worse when everyone asks. That's an issue, though. You kind of proves my point, right? Because it's an issue that Lady Demetrius is a good part of that game, and the mother is as annoying character. Annoying is badly played. Yeah, that's my point, right? It kind of proves my point that having actors playing out these characters instead of just having gameplay and so on, whatever, right? Actually design characters with the text or whatever back in the old days. You wouldn't have the issue with that, yeah, because she really carries the game, and then the game is really worse with the other female characters and so on. Yeah, like if anything, this proves my point that she's like, yeah, she's just a big part of the game to make it good. Anyway, best audio design, that for me is just stupid. I was like, we got him. Best music is a very important part of a game. But best audio design, I don't care, honestly. It's a bit like Far Cry or something. I don't care. Oh, yes, it's Forza. Yeah, you hear some boom boom or something. I really don't care, honestly. It's not a good category in my opinion. Almost no more cash. But best music, though, of course, basically all role-playing games have good music. No, but best score, right? No, but like best score, of course, is very important for especially role-playing games, right? Having a really good soundtrack for sad music, good boss battles, and so on. Yeah. So best like score. It's very, very important, though. But best audio design, for me, is almost completely irrelevant. But, yeah, best score is really, really important. I still personally would take most of, different role-playing games, because usually they do have the much better score than any Western game has. And generally speaking, I think even Western role-playing games also usually has better scores than, than the other games. So, I mean, this is a category where I feel almost always the role-playing games usually wins. Or should win, right? But who couldn't win this year? I'm thinking a little bit. I'm gonna say FF14 should win, right? You know what I mean? Yeah, I mean it's like that's pretty good. Nier is a pretty good music, but not the first Nier though, or the Nier not the remake, but yeah, but that won the best score though, of course. Automata has an amazing score. Replicant is definitely weaker, but it's a pretty good score. Yeah. I don't know what's gonna win. Let's look at it. I feel the best score, obviously any game can be here, so it's like it's a huge genre to guess, right? I mean, I guess Nier, man. I said Nier, so at least they won something. Where's my goddamn Nier? Oh, it's in the bottom now. There, I said Nier, huh? He won again. I said it. I couldn't call it. I was like, I'm guessing Nier, baby. It is, yeah. Nier won something. I freaking called it. I said that was what I was thinking. If Nier's gonna win anything, it's gonna be music just like last time, right? Yeah, because Nier Automata is better than Replicant. Don't get me wrong, it's better than Replicant. But Nier Automata was like the best music in like 10 years. And Replicant has not as good music, but definitely I think it's the best music this year. Yeah. So that's good. No roast there, no. I mean, I said Nier Replicant, otherwise, right? But the thing is that I kind of started questioning myself there because just because they didn't have Replicant for best role-playing game. They had freaking Cyberpunk, yeah. That's why I was thinking that maybe they're not gonna have Nier, because I don't understand why they didn't have Nier for best role-playing game. Not saying it should have won. Tales of Arise won, right? But if I have to, if I have to compare them, here it is. If I have to compare these two games, right? For example, role-playing game, these two games, Nexus or Nier, I would say Nier is hands down. Nier is a much better game than Nexus, in my opinion, right? This game is much better, yeah. This game, I think, was just fine, right? It wasn't the best, wasn't the worst, kind of mid, right? This game is pretty good still, even though it's not Automata level. So they had this game in nomination for best role-playing game. They didn't even have Nier there. So that's why I was like, are they ignoring Nier this year? Because sometimes some games just get ignored, right? Because think about it, in Nier, you're playing as a Futanari, and those are people in Nier, right? Yeah, they have like R text in Nier, when the main female character is actually a Futanari, so two genders, and she actually, abuses boys' rights. So in that sense, I felt that Nier might not win, right? Because Nier is quite, offensive, right? Yeah, Nier is very offensive. But they probably didn't read the game. They probably didn't play the game. Because, yeah, Nier is quite offensive, even more so than the other games. So, but yeah, okay, good. Nier at least won something. Which is, again, then, the best soundtracks. They have very good composers. But, yeah, just like last time, Nier wins music. But, as I said, I don't understand how, this is what I hate in these kind of shitty categories. Because why isn't Nier here then? Obviously Nier is much better than goddamn buggy Cyberpunk. And it's also better than Nexus. I won't say it's better than but I'm saying it's better than these two. Especially this one is a buggy mess, right? That's why I hate it. I hate it when it's not logical. I hate when it's so illogical. Like, why wouldn't it be there and there? Like, it doesn't make any sense. Best art direction. This is an interesting category, because I always complain about this when it comes to anime awards too. Because best art for me should be where it's unique and interesting, right? So for example, someone like Tetsuya should usually win this, but he's like crazy with art, right? Yeah. That kind of art I think is interesting. Something like Sekiro could win, right? Interesting anime design and so on. Here actually I would say that Skull Nexus has a better chance of winning than the best role-playing game is when handed, because he has very interesting anime design. So I always felt that this kind of category in any kind of reward system should be who makes the most coolest either clothing and this stuff and so on. But it's usually a crappy game or whatever movie there is thing. It feels like people have no understanding. I feel what this makes a good art direction. But so I'm just gonna judge. I'm just gonna go in here and look at it. I wouldn't say a single of this game has good art direction compared to what I thought about. Like, this is crap for me. This is effing crap. Effing crap, yeah, because this is like, oh yeah, FPS, but come on. Like, this game here, for example, has a really interesting anime design. Also, it's a really ugly world design, but it's really interesting anime design, okay? Like, that's way better. Like, Resident Evil also has way interesting art, like the Dollhouse and so on. Bad, good horror game. Yeah, this other one. This is kind of weird, it's a side note, but usually, when you buy the steelbooks, you get a steelbook, right? But here I actually got two games for the same price. I don't know, they said me the wrong thing or something. That was good, but usually when you buy a steelbook, you get this kind of thing. Right? You get this kind of, like this thing. But that game actually got two games instead. But I only paid for the $60 though. Yeah, I was like, okay, I'm not gonna complain. I bought it on pre-order, right? Sent it to me. I got two games. one normal and one not. And I was like, I guess I got 2 games then. Okay, fine. I got another game too. Okay, yeah, I'm not complaining. I got 1 game for free. I'm not gonna send it back to them. I'm like, oh, I admit it. I'm like, if you send me 2 games and I pay for 1 and they don't complain about it, I'm just like, I guess I keep both. You know, I'm like, okay. They never asked me for the for another game or whatever. I was like, I guess I have 2 games. Weird, but anyway, best narration would be best storyline, right? I guess. Then I think Nier should win here. But still on the freaking Nier stuff here. Nier actually can win something. I think Tales of Arise has a weaker storyline. Resident Evil is crap in halfway through though. FF14 is a very good, interesting storyline, right? For being a multiplayer game too. I mean, I honestly say here, obviously I'm biased, but I think the Japanese roleplay games almost always should win this team because they have so much more better and detailed storylines than almost any Western games usually. But I don't know. It feels like I should be. It would be crap. It's like Far Cry wins something. It would be horrible. They actually won. I heard about this thing. Holy shit, man! This game is crap. Like really. Marvel's Guardian Galaxy is like, oh my god, this game is terrible. Ugh. And the narration isn't that good either. Come on, it's like the Marvel. I mean, yeah, I love Marvel. Come on, I'm not a Marvel hater, but I mean, it's like best narration, really. And no, actually, I do love Guardian Galaxy. It's like my favorite Marvel. Honestly, it's like my favorite Marvel movies. Which I've seen every Marvel movie a lot of times, and my favorite one is seriously Guardian Galaxy 2, especially Volume. Yeah, the second one. I mean, they're all good, but the second one is really good. It's like my favorite one, though. And the Yondu and so on, come on. It's the best scenes in Marvel movies. So, I think they have a really good chemistry, and the jokes write themselves and so on. But really, best narration, though? For me, it's more like, yeah, they have good slapstick comedy, and, Drax, like, it fights over me, yeah. They they capture the good jokes, right? So, sure, but is that like a good narration? Then I honestly rather would have Life is Strange winning. Even if this game has horrible gameplay, it really has a crappy gameplay. I mean, as I said earlier, I really hate the gameplay in Life is Strange. It's crap. But at least it's better in narration, like because narration for me is like just the story, right? And Nier has a lot better storyline. It's a lot better. Nier is a remake though, so I think it's a remake with some added storylines though. But I think that like Scarlet Nexus or whatever, right? They had all the Japanese could win. I mean, and also Cyberpunk could have won. Because even though Cyberpunk is a messy, buggy game, the narration doesn't matter, right? Yeah. Honestly, yeah, Cyberpunk is also much better because, again, Cyberpunk, super buggy, messy, hell of a game, right? But if you do pure talking about narration, talking about the actual, the storytelling, talking about the storytelling and the actual story, then Cyberpunk would count, right? Because, yeah, it's buggy, but if you ignore that, look at this pure narration, it's amazing. So, this makes effing no sense. Yeah, Cyberpunk I think should probably win then. Because that would be like pretending it has no bugs, right? Pretending it has no bugs, and only looking at the storyline, it would be pretty good. Really bad crap. And then game direction is one of those weird things where you're like, I guess we're giving it to the actual director of the game. Maybe it takes 2 or something. Deathloop again. Really? Deathloop? Why did that get so much for? It's not even that good for a game. Yeah, Take Two was at least an hour. That's what my guess was gonna win, right? But it's not the director that wins. It's the in a way design. But like, really, like good design. Really, like most. I mean, again, I like Ratchet and Clank. I played like all of the games, but it's not like I don't think this game feels innovative at all. For me, it feels like the same old, same old. I mean, yes, there's some new mechanics. I mean, but it doesn't feel innovative for a second. I feel they've done the same thing for like the older games. It's like a good game, right? It's a good formula, and they keep improving on it. But it doesn't feel innovative for me. I understand that you have the new, but it doesn't feel innovative. Not in my opinion. It feels like been there, done that. Is it good? Yeah, it's good. I mean, it's a great game, but it's not innovative. You know what I mean? It's kind of like the Blizzard games. Blizzard games are kind of famous for just refining what other people do, right? Yeah, it's kind of like Blizzard games. You kind of take like an EverQuest and you refine it. You make it the World of Warcraft. That's what they're pretty good at. Yeah, they're pretty good at like those been good at being really like making really good versions of already existing IDs basically. And that's also for that matter a rare thing, right? And I mean rare as a company. So Donkey Kong and so on, yeah, rare software there is a company it's called in England. So what Rare did, especially back in the glory days, right, of 64, they would take a Nintendo game and make it, basically better, right, or give it that Rare spin and make it like really playable, even though it's kind of similar, right. So they would take something like the Diddy Kong Racing was like an improvement of Mario Kart, right, and an amazing game, right, and so on. They would take something like Mario 64 and they would make like Banjo-Kazooie, you're like whoa and so on. Yeah, they would take an established premise and so on and just basically make saving them again with their characters, right, and make it even better. Yeah, that was a rare thing. And I feel that Ratchet & Clank is kind of like that. It's like it is the Insomniac, we're taking Ratchet & Clank, the 10th version of it, making we are like improving it in the previous game. So it's a great game because even the first game was great too, right? I mean, I really liked the first Ratchet & Clank when it was pretty new, yeah. Like, 10 plus years ago, yeah. But I really liked the game, right? So, that was probably more like 15 years ago, or they were like 15 years ago, yeah. It was really good, right? So, we take that and we, like, improve on it, yeah. That's what that game is doing. But it's not being innovative, in my opinion, at all. Then, for example, It Takes Two is much more innovative, right, than Ratchet & Clank. I mean, in my opinion, it shouldn't even be here in this category. And I think Deathloop is not really... not a big fan. But anyway, the last hitting, guys. What wins? So, Game of the Year. I feel they're gonna put Deathloop then, because given how much they have the best direction and so on. What won last year? FF7 Remake? I don't remember. It might be Remake the one last year, right? Maybe. Remake was an incredibly overhyped game in my opinion, but whatever. I feel so negative now. Remake. No, but honestly, right, I have it somewhere here in the pilot. FF7 Remake is in my PS4 year if I had it. Yeah, FF7 Remake was for me a terrible game, and I worked in this game, and I have no problem saying that. Yeah, it was terrible. No, I mean it's an amazing, beautiful game, but the gameplay I feel lacks a lot, right? The game feels very short on the gameplay. And the issue with this game, in my opinion, the most, is that there is nothing on that extra content that are used in a fantasy game. There is no like secret bosses. There is no mini games. Yes, you have the freaking pull-up shit, but there is no like actual chocobo racing and that stuff, right? And when I play a full-fledged FF game, I want to have the card game. I want to have the racing game. I want to have all these mini games that are really cool. I want to have that 10, 11 boss fight. I want to have the secret dungeon. I want to have this stuff, right? This game has nothing of that. It doesn't feel like a fantasy game whatsoever to me. It feels very bare bone, right? It's like the most bare bone FF game since FF13, I guess. But FF13 had the hunts though. FF13 had 64 hunts. Like the 12th game had the hunts, right? So no, it's much more bare bone than FF13, and that's very disappointing. So from a gameplay standpoint, I think the game is honestly terrible. From a story aspect, the game is a masterpiece, right? So it's a good movie, a bad video game. That's my opinion. But I think it won last year, didn't it? So I brought it up here. Didn't it win last year? I want to say this won last year. It was such a popular game, right? Because people are idiots. Because I think it's a terrible game. But no, but honestly, I mean, again, I worked in this game. I think the game is. The storyline is like 10 out of 10, even though it's not ended right. But it's like in remake, it's a storyline. But holy shit, is the gameplay lacking for being a full price FF game. It's just so disappointing. Like what happened to everything else I expect to see? Because Final Fantasy has always been the flag game of the JRPG genre, right? So JRPGs, like for example Persona or whatever, right? They have so many mini games. Oh yeah, oh my god, I have this game here. Holy shit, man! Yeah, like this acoustic game. It's so many mini games. It's so many mini games. So many extra bosses and mini games. So yeah, FF7 has nothing of that, right? But usually in a fantasy game, you have those hunts, right? It's FF12. You have those like 100 extra bosses, right? This game is like yeah, it's full of that shit, right? All the time. That's what I want in an FF game. It took me like 40 hours to beat the game. I think it's max, even on a bit hard also, yeah. But we're like. A normal FF game these days is like 100 hours game time for a single player game. We play something like Dragon Quest 11. This game is amazing. Yeah, the game is so long and has so much stuff happening in the game. The game is so much better than FF7 Remake. It felt very bare bone. It felt like I bought part 1 right of a game that just ended before it started. From a gameplay perspective, and it's so easy to. I really actually dislike this remake. It's so easy. Yeah, it's so goddamn easy. No bosses are hard. Everything is so easy, even on hard. I mean, on hard, everything is easy. So I guess my point is that I don't respect this. I think it won last year, right? It didn't win last year. I think it won, and then it really shouldn't have won last year. But my point is that I don't trust this category for a second. Because It Takes Two is the ultimate game. Really? It's a pretty mediocre. I think they really love to jerk off Fares. I don't understand why he's so beloved by them. Was it because he got drunk that year and embarrassed himself? I don't know. But I don't understand these games' popularity. They're never gonna hire me, that's for sure. I talked about earlier how that studio is very disliked, right, in Sweden by the developers. Yeah, it's very, very disliked by most people. I never worked it myself. Again, hearsay. Never worked it myself. I'm just saying what I've heard, right? I've heard that everyone in the world hates it. Yeah, I'm just saying that. And that, I heard it from a lot of people, right? So I'm just like saying what I've heard. But it's hearsay, 100%. I have no proof of that. I'm just saying what I've heard. I honestly never. I don't understand why people love these games so much. I'm not saying these games are bad, honestly. My take is more like, I'm not saying these games are bad, but it feels like people are putting his games as this kind of masterpieces. Where for me, they're kind of like simple team 2-player games. He definitely has a niche, right? You're playing as these two brothers or whatever in his games. Yeah, you're always playing as two people. But honestly, in my opinion, It Takes Two, because the reason it's very weaker than his previous games, because he kind of relies on the same formula every time. He kind of has this formula with Brothers, right? It's the first game that he made in this system, or whatever. Right? He made this game, and since then it's kind of the same thing over again. Yeah, like this game to me. And I genuinely mean that. I'm not saying this because I heard everyone hates the developers. I'm saying it more in the sense that their first game and this game for me is very, very similar. I don't feel they have moved much the needles to the first game. I feel they're kind of doing the same thing all over again. Yeah, it's like, oh yeah, we did it once. People love that. Let's keep doing it. I don't know. I wasn't impressed, right? See what I mean? I wasn't impressed whatsoever. And you can say that it's kind of weird because I love this like Java games. They're very the same thing also. That's true. But I feel this game is only focused on being novelty, right? They don't have much else going for them. They don't have any mini games. There's no multiplayer, right? And I mean multiplayer and competitive multiplayer and so on. So they don't have it going for them. The gameplay is more like a once-time novelty experience game. And after you play it once, you kind of played it right. So it has for me it's a very weak game. Like, I think Metroid Dread is a much better game. It's a much more fun game to play, much more value for your dollar, and so on. And I don't know, I honestly look at games that way. How much money do I get for this game? This game for me is not, the value per dollar here is like immensely different, right? So for that, I think it's fair to judge it as well, right? Because I'm always trying to be as objective as I can, right? And if I get like a 10-hour game time or a 100-hour game time or whatever, right? That thing is important to think about. But anyway, a couple of more examples. Resident Evil, that should have won though. I mean, that's better than the TV. Yeah, they are a horrible story there. And this reminds me of the anime I watched like last year too, right? Where it's like the same kind of games. But it's kind of weird that because you see Psychonauts and you see Ratchet and Clank, right? And you see them all the time. Yeah, you have them in like, wasn't they in Best Art Direction too? Yes, Psychonauts. So this, I hate when they do shit. This is so typical for this award system. So they have the same, like, 3-4 games, right? In like every category. It's always the same thing every year too with like Anime Awards too. So they have the same, Anime Awards are even worse than that. Anime Awards are always like Megalobox every category, and they never wins, right? Yeah, it's like, but it's the exact same thing here too. They have like Ratchet and Clank in like 6-7 categories, and we won neither of them. Then they clearly are wrong, right? If they're gonna like nominate for every goddamn category, and no one agrees with them that it's a good game, there is something wrong with nominating it. It wasn't that good then. And it feels really weird to me because we have Deathloop, Ratchet and Clank, Psychonauts in like half the categories, right? And they are not. Neither of them are that good, and neither of them should be in every goddamn category because there are other games that were much better than them, at least specifically for that category. And it's the exact same thing with the Anime Awards, right? Because in the Anime Awards, they might take something like Megalobox, that's kind of mediocre anime, put it in every category where like other animes are clearly better action scenes. Other animes clearly have better romance or whatever. Right? So this anime clearly is just gonna be the best at everything. That's unreal. Same with games too, right? You're gonna have one video game that is the best in like 10 categories. That's crazy. Unless it's like the greatest masterpiece ever, right? But then it's gonna win every category, yeah. So if you have a video game in every category, there's something wrong with you, right? You put the wrong game in every category because you can clearly find a game with better music or better art or whatever, right? You took like 2-3 very popular games to put them in every category. It's the exact same thing with anime awards. Right? You take 2-3 popular animes, put them in every category, and they usually never win them, yeah, because they haven't specified and said this is the best game based on this thing. Yeah, this is the best game's music. This is the best game on this thing, right? They clearly haven't found out that. Yeah, they just took like this popular general game again, put it everywhere. That proves to me that they haven't really thought about okay, like what is the best game, for this category. Instead, they have this like blanket. Here's the most popular game this year. Put them there, right? So again, as last year, these awards are pretty crap because, I mean, most of the games are the same thing. I don't know how many games was released last year, but let's say this year, let's say 100 games. It's probably a low number. And how many games did I see in this list, right? Maybe like 20 games, yeah. Was that the same 5-6 games in like almost every category? It's very, very ridiculous. I hate the categories. There's some really weird picks, right? There's some really weird picks. Some categories made no sense, like, okay, they have a sign language in the game, but they also have text in the game. I don't even understand the purpose of that. Or, I mean, I guess for children, but it's a very, I guess. And of course, they're like, it's gonna be in every game now. Like, why? You had that woke category that they're not calling it woke, but it clearly is. Like, this game has the lesbian main characters, which is the best game. Like, yeah. But that's what I meant earlier too. Like this game wins because the main characters are lesbian, right? Like that's the only quality that they have judged for. Everything else in the game is crap, but it doesn't matter because you're playing as a cute lesbian. You know what I mean? Like I don't have any problem with lesbians. I'm just saying that those games are, you know what I mean? Like it's clearly not based on the game's quality, right? It's clearly not based on the game's quality. I found it very strange that Replicant won music. I mean, it's a great game for sound, but they didn't have it in best role-playing game. That to me made no sense because because it's clearly a better role-playing game than Buggy Punk. So like that to me was kind of weird. Now I'm trying to sort out my collection here. I have so many games that I can't have one in front of me right now. Come on. So I need like 2-3 rooms of all my games, right? So I have a few games next to me, right? It's a PS4, but then I also have like every PlayStation 1 game. I have like 200 of that, right? PlayStation 2 games, Super Nintendo, right? So it's kind of hard having all. It's like I have to I can't have space for all my collection, right? So like I put it all in like the. It gets to that level where I'm just like, oh, I guess I'm just gonna like put it on the floor or something. Yeah, I can't put it anywhere else. Switch games, it's way too many games and movies and all. It's kind of crazy, but that's also what I feel with the judges is always, right? It's the same thing with all the other award shows, generally speaking. It's always like, oh, you say there are 50 movies this year? I watched 5. It's always usually it's either the most generalized crap that they vote for, that they pick up for nominees, or it's the most obscure shit, right? It's never the thing in the middle. It's never like all this other stuff that appeared in the games or animes or movies or whatever. No, it's like it's either the most general, most casual shit that everyone's seen, or it's the most obscure shit that no one has seen, right? It's nowhere in between, which is ridiculous. It's always the same with the Oscars. They're all the same. They're all the same crap, yeah. Well, anyway, that's the game. Rose, guys. Subscribe to the one. Tomorrow we have a few animes. Yeah, tomorrow we have Senpai. And, of course, great Yakko is gonna fight, I guess, God. Yeah, Yakko's gonna fight God. And Drujin Yakko's gonna team up. Gonna fight the goddess herself. And then we have One Piece, of course, late tomorrow. And then on Sunday we have Demon Slayer's back. So that's nice. And Tenshi, of course, best anime ever. Had a really cool episode last week. That's really cool. And Miruko-chan has 1 or 2 ending soon, right? I mean, it's Christmas soon.